A man eats for the first time, but he swallows the spoon along with the rice, because in his eyes, the spoon tastes better than the rice. As it turns out, the man has awakened the lowest tier ability, metal manipulation. Yet he can grow stronger by consuming metal. In his previous life, Tong Yi became the Steel Emperor through relentless effort. With a wave of his hand, he could command countless arrows and destroy all enemies. But in the end, he still died. At the hands of the humans he had protected for 10 years, in his final moments, his eyes were filled with regret. He never expected that humans would ultimately be destroyed by humans. If only he had discovered the method to grow stronger earlier, could he have saved the situation? His wish seemed to receive a response. When Tong Yi opened his eyes again, he had returned to the year he joined the military. In this world, all who awaken abilities must serve in the military. The unit was being punished by their commander for losing 9 bullet casings. Those 9 casings had already been consumed by Tong Yi, whose metal manipulation ability was rated as the lowest F-class. It would be years before he discovered how to use his ability, transforming from F-class into the mighty Steel Emperor. Currently, he could manipulate 300 grams of metal, with 10 minutes remaining until digestion. When lunchtime arrived, Tong Yi's unit finally finished their punishment. But something strange happened. All the spoons in the cafeteria had mysteriously disappeared, while Tong Yi stared at the spoon in his hand, drooling. The next second, he devoured it with relish. Metal absorption, 12 minutes remaining. After absorption, controlled metal weight will increase by 1.25 grams. Tong Yi looked resigned. At this rate, how long would it take to reach his previous power level? His gaze then drifted toward the distant watchtower. Was that the only solution? 3 days later, Tong Yi could perfectly control a dagger, and tonight was his night watch duty. Tong Yi slowly approached his comrade on guard. "Park Jun-mao, do you trust me?" Park Jun-mao looked bewildered but replied, "I trust you. I've detected metal movement. I'll go investigate while you stay here on guard. Remember, don't report this to headquarters." Meanwhile, near the unit's encampment, a portal appeared with goblins tumbling out. Suddenly a dagger flew through the air, piercing straight through a goblin's body. The attacker was Tong Yi, who had come to investigate. "I never thought I'd be so happy to see you. These 3 days and nights of waiting weren't in vain." The goblin stood up and spat a mouthful of yellow fluid, then charged toward Tong Yi in just a few strides. "It seems I'm still weak at level 1, but I don't like doing things twice, Tong Yi." Just as the goblin approached, Tong Yi swiftly controlled the dagger to pierce the goblin's throat. A bright red stone dropped from the goblin's body. Tong Yi immediately stuffed it into his mouth. "You've absorbed otherworldly magic steel. Expected increase in grams unknown. After absorption, your magical power will increase." The remaining goblins were startled by this action, staring wide-eyed. But only Tong Yi grinned like a predator. Consuming that thing would make his path much easier. The next second, he charged into the goblin horde. The dagger under his control precisely severed the goblin's tendons. Tong Yi didn't finish them off, wanting to use their screams to lure the goblin chieftain. Just then, a goblin seized the opportunity to launch a sneak attack. Tong Yi spotted it and controlled a greatsword on the ground, quickly knocking the weapon from the goblin's hand. Then his dagger flashed, severing its head. Another piece of magic steel dropped. Tong Yi ignored it and glared with rage. "I was once stabbed in the back. Anyone who tries to ambush me, I'll eat them alive." These vicious words made the goblin shudder. But Tong Yi remained vigilant, knowing the goblin chieftain was hiding nearby. To draw him out, Tong Yi needed to expose a vulnerability. He carelessly reached for the magic steel. In that instant, the goblin chieftain activated his ability. The ground beneath Tong Yi's feet cracked. Several 10-meter-long spikes erupted from below, catching several nearby goblins in the process. The goblin chieftain thought the human would be torn to pieces. But the next second, a greatsword shot out from the dust cloud. The goblin chieftain raised his staff to block it precisely. Tong Yi feigned disappointment as the goblin chieftain gloated. The dagger was already silently approaching, but just as it penetrated the skin by a millimeter, the goblin chieftain caught it by a hair's breadth. Facing such a cunning human, he dared not be careless. Just then, Park Jun-mao came looking for Tong Yi. The goblin chieftain immediately gave an order. All the goblins suddenly turned and charged toward Park Jun-mao. This unexpected development scared Park Jun-mao so badly his legs went weak. In the emergency, Tong Yi had no choice. He fired several bullets, saving Park Jun-mao, then controlled the greatsword to deliver a fatal blow. The goblin hurriedly swung his weapon, deflecting the greatsword, but Tong Yi rushed in with a knee strike, then fed bullets into the goblin's mouth. When Tong Yi turned around, all the goblins had vanished. Damn, he's more cautious than I expected. The gunshots had drawn headquarters' attention. Just heard gunfire. All posts report situation. Tong Yi quickly reported, a portal appeared near the encampment. Monster type, goblins. After a small skirmish, they've left the area. The radio transmitted an order. All posts defend your stations. I repeat, all posts defend your stations. Tong Yi knew the Valkyrie was about to deploy. If she came, she would close the portal like in his previous life, and take all the spoils, including the legendary equipment Adamantium, the ultimate equipment that had made him the Steel Emperor. If he couldn't consume it now, he'd have to wait 4 years. Just then, Outpost 6 called for help. Large numbers of goblins surrounding the outpost. Requesting backup. Requesting backup. Tong Yi knew this was his chance. This is Outpost 5. We'll support Outpost 6. F-class, don't throw your life away. Wait for the Valkyrie's arrival. Tong Yi ignored this. He had to consume the adamantium before she arrived, even if it meant punishment afterward. Seeing Outpost 6 holding firm, the goblin chieftain controlled countless boulders to smash the outpost. After the bombardment, the outpost was covered in cracks, Just as the two men inside despaired, Tong Yi's voice suddenly came through the radio. Outpost 6, I'll assist you. Archer, load your arrow and use your flame ability. The archer followed Tong Yi's instructions, but it was pitch black outside and he didn't know where to aim. Just then, a light flashed in the distance. Archer, aim at the light position. I'll control the trigger. Tong Yi had run behind a goblin. The archer's arrowhead followed the moving light. Tong Yi controlled the bow's metal trigger. A flaming arrow shot forth, instantly taking down a goblin. Tong Yi did this to conserve magic before confronting the goblin chieftain. The hidden goblin chieftain gnashed his teeth at seeing this human, immediately controlling a boulder to smash Tong Yi. Tong Yi backflipped into the bushes, then directed the archer to reload. Under his control, they precisely eliminated several more goblins. Meanwhile, Park Jun-mao had crept forward to locate the goblin chieftain, but was spotted by a goblin. The goblin raised his cleaver to split Park Jun-mao's head. Just then, a dagger shot through the air, saving him. Tong Yi's figure followed close behind, pulling the trigger. A flaming arrow instantly struck the goblin. As magic continuously drained, the goblin numbers rapidly decreased. Now Tong Yi's magic was down to 12%. Is he really going to sacrifice his men just to drain my magic? Just then, Park Jun-mao's cry for help came from afar. The goblin chieftain held his head in one hand, with his staff against Park's throat, clearly threatening Tong Yi to surrender. Tong Yi reluctantly dropped his weapons, while two goblins behind him seized the opportunity. But Tong Yi grinned. Under his magic control, a gun trigger was pulled. That gun belonged to Park Jun-mao. A burst of bullets hit the goblin chieftain's abdomen. Then Tong Yi moved like an arrow, dodging the goblin's attacks. His dagger whistled through the air toward the goblin chieftain. But upon striking, it bounced off the thick leather armor. Tong Yi's magic was down to 9%. He had to finish this before his magic was depleted. The goblin chieftain had now fled to the portal entrance, but just as he leaped toward it, Tong Yi noticed the necklace he wore contained metal, immediately controlling it to pull the goblin chieftain back. Now Tong Yi's magic was down to 3%. Please, let me eat you. Tong Yi used all his remaining magic. A cold flash streaked across the night sky, straight into the chieftain's throat. Simultaneously, a pillar of light erupted in the distance. It was the Valkyrie's holy light. Tong Yi extracted the adamantium from the chieftain's body at top speed. By the time the support team arrived, Tong Yi had already swallowed the adamantium. Don't shoot. I'm Soldier Tong Yi from Outpost 5. The support team found the dead chieftain beneath him, but the portal hadn't closed, meaning some monsters remained. 4 F-class soldiers taking down a chieftain. Remarkable. No, these wounds are consistent. Clearly Tong Yi eliminated them single-handedly. Tong Yi lay on a stretcher, unable to hide the smile on his face. You've absorbed a legendary item and awakened a rare ability. You can control all metal you can sense within range. Ha ha ha. Your Steel Emperor has returned. 3 days later, Tong Yi's feet had spread throughout the unit. I heard that day everyone was waiting to die when suddenly an F-class soldier with a greatsword killed all the enemies. F-class? Really? Meanwhile, Tong Yi was summoned by the battalion commander. The commander, known as Mountain Lord, was the nation's 166th ranked awakener. Beside him stood the Valkyrie, Shadow Summer, and C-class magician Li Mingxi. The commander solemnly asked, "Soldier, is it true you disobeyed orders and repelled monsters from the portal?" Tong Yi knew one wrong word would land him in detention, but he reported truthfully, "I discovered the portal while on duty and took immediate action." The commander was puzzled. "Someone of your F-class should have been killed instantly." Tong Yi responded righteously, "I remember you once said that even low-grade awakeners, if they fight according to the textbook, even an E-class could defeat a giant. Following your teachings, even as an F-class, I should be able to defeat goblins. Your words became my conviction." Hearing this, the commander's eyes welled with tears. He felt he'd found a kindred spirit. "You'll be my deputy officer." Li Mingxi immediately stopped the commander. "We've never had an F-class deputy officer." Tong Yi, not wanting to draw attention, politely declined the commander. Meanwhile, the archer from Outpost 6 revealed everything that happened. Li Yuanxi, known for tearing goblins apart with his bare hands, couldn't guarantee one person could hold off portal monsters. Maybe that kid just picked off a few stragglers. Soon, Li Yuanxi confronted Tong Yi. "The famous hero only lifting this much weight? You're embarrassing our unit." Tong Yi knew his intentions weren't good. If he kept avoiding him, he'd surely be bullied again like in his previous life. "I'm in a bad mood. Want to fight me?" Li Yuanxi thought he'd misheard. Only when they stepped into the boxing ring did he realize this Tong Yi kid had a death wish. Meanwhile, Black Tiger Unit's Qian Minghao looked disappointed. "I can't believe that promising soldier who could become an inspector is on leave." A nearby soldier consoled him. "Though that one's on leave, there's another who won't disappoint you. Since you're here, why not watch?" That person was Li Yuanxi. As the match began, he launched a fierce attack on Tong Yi. In a moment of carelessness, Tong Yi was punched to the edge of the ring. Li Yuanxi pressed his advantage, his mighty fist about to land. Tong Yi rolled to the center of the ring, then beckoned Li Yuanxi to try harder. The audience erupted in anger. "Li Yuanxi, don't throw the match. We all bet on you to win." Li Yuanxi couldn't explain that since the match began, his body felt unusually heavy. Tong Yi had been using his power to control the metal in his shoes. Every step Li Yuanxi took felt like walking through a swamp, yet he couldn't figure out why. Finally, he paused the match. "Something's wrong with my legs. Don't tell me they've gone soft from fear." This remark ignited Li Yuanxi's fury. Forgetting this was a boxing match, he activated his ability, instantly transforming from chubby to muscular, his D-class ability, body enhancement. but Tong Yi's eyes showed no trace of fear, one like an enraged bull, one like a stalking leopard. Qian Minghao took in every detail. Interesting. The soldier thought he meant Li Yuanxi and quickly agreed. See? I told you he wouldn't disappoint. Li Yuanxi's figure blurred. A powerful punch sent Tong Yi flying. The crowd thought victory was assured, but Li Yuanxi felt something strange. That punch seemed to hit solid steel. Indeed, after absorbing adamantium, Tong Yi gained a new ability, steel transformation. Using magic to transform parts of his body into steel, he had provoked Li Yuanxi into attacking. When the next punch came, Tong Yi ducked low, then steeled his right leg, kicking hard at Li Yuanxi's knee. Li Yuanxi lost balance and fell. Tong Yi seized the chance to rain down punches, but Li Yuanxi was tough. Unharmed, he grabbed Tong Yi, then gathered strength to slam him to the ground. In desperation, Tong Yi wrapped his arms around Li Yuanxi's arm. Then his legs coiled around his neck like a snake. Under the pressure from his legs, Li Yuanxi's arm couldn't move an inch, but Li Yuanxi had another hand. He was confident one punch would crush Tong Yi's skull. Tong Yi knew this guy wanted to kill him. With a roar, he pried open Li Yuanxi's fist. Then, using his legs for leverage, performed a kip-up, barely dodging the lethal blow. Now Tong Yi leaped behind Li Yuanxi, applying a chokehold in one fluid motion. The seamless sequence made the crowd exclaim in shock. Only Qian Minghao's eyes gleamed. I like you more and more. Li Yuanxi sneered. This much strength means nothing to me. He thought he could easily break free. But Tong Yi had activated steel transformation, while using metal manipulation to empower his steel arms. With a screeching metal sound, a sense of suffocation instantly seized Li Yuanxi. Warning: excessive body manipulation may cause physical damage. Tong Yi's eyes blazed red, veins bulging. Having chosen resistance, he had to teach him a painful lesson. Below the ring, Li Yuanxi's companions panicked. Sergeant Wu Shangguo, we must stop them. With Li Yuanxi's personality, he'll never surrender. But seeing Tong Yi's eyes, Wu Shangguo felt a sudden urge to urinate. He had often bullied Tong Yi with Li Yuanxi. Could he be the next target? Meanwhile, Li Yuanxi was losing consciousness. Damn, how could I lose to this F-class trash, and in front of so many people? With this thought, Li Yuanxi's power began to surge. Red steam swirled around him. In an instant, his body enhanced again, bursting through the ceiling. But a leopard that bites its prey's neck never lets go. Qian Minghao's gaze grew more intense. Tong Yi guessed this was Li Yuanxi's dying struggle. Ignoring physical damage, he used all his magic. Sure enough, after moments of struggle, Li Yuanxi finally passed out. Finishing the fight, Tong Yi's expression remained calm, not even breathing hard, but the invisible aura drove everyone back. Only Park Junmao came forward to ask if he was injured. Tong Yi ignored him. Instead, he stared at Wu Shangguo, warning him not to cause trouble. Just then, Qian Minghao approached Tong Yi. After a brief conversation, he learned Tong Yi's identity. Soldier Tong Yi, would you like to join the Black Tiger unit? He handed over a business card. The crowd exploded. Black Tiger was a special forces unit known for assassinating monster chieftains and bombing dungeons. But Tong Yi refused Qian Minghao, saying he was just an F-class private. Qian Minghao told him not to worry, rank thresholds are standard set for ordinary people. Bottom line, Black Tiger needs you now. Tong Yi felt reluctant. If Black Tiger limited his growth, humanity would still face extinction. Finally, Tong Yi took the card, saying he'd consider it. Later, Qian Minghao visited Diamond's office. How's your Black Tiger unit lately? Qian Minghao sighed. We're severely short-handed. Diamond immediately understood. You're looking for Choi Young-jun, that potential inspector. Qian Minghao smiled. Exactly. But just now I found someone even more suitable. That evening, Tong Yi was still training on the field, with Park Junmao following. He pulled Tong Yi into an embrace. Father, how did you become so strong overnight? Please teach me how to get stronger. From the shadows, Diamond watched Tong Yi, then made a phone call. Get me all of Soldier Tong Yi's pre-enlistment records. Tong Yi, I should apologize first, because it's your fault that I want you even more now. The next day, Diamond had learned all of Tong Yi's information, even uncovering some illegal records. Tong Yi was embarrassed, but Diamond didn't pursue it. After all, you're someone I've chosen. Tong Yi seized the opportunity in saying he wanted to select a new weapon. Given Tong Yi's service in the Goblin incident, Diamond gladly accepted his request. Led by the Valkyrie, Tong Yi entered the unit's armory. He didn't focus on the eye-catching weapons, but pretended to think for a long time, finally choosing a rusty bronze sword. Cloud's sword can absorb moisture and release mist. Its true name is Sword Hidden in Clouds, used by the weather god, Cloud Master, and the sword hidden in clouds is lightning, the ultimate yang force falling from the clouds. In his previous life, Yin Lord had developed Cloud Sword's potential, eventually becoming the universally admired sword saint. If he could bathe his steel in lightning, that would be incredibly cool. The Valkyrie advised, though I dislike you for your record, choosing this junk is too wasteful. Tong Yi made a few practice swings and said it felt good. I'll take this. There's no time to choose anyway. Before he finished speaking, an alarm sounded throughout the unit. A portal had appeared in the city center, with hordes of monkey men pouring out. Everyone hurriedly changed into gear, but Tong Yi seemed unsurprised, as if he'd expected it. This calmness made the Valkyrie respect him more. Soon the city's guilds cordoned off the area. The military units followed, looking at Blue Lotus Guild's expensive equipment and weapons. Everyone privately resolved to join Blue Lotus after discharge. Meanwhile, Tong Yi was holding a meeting with his squad. The monsters from this portal are monkey men. They're agile and skilled with poison darts and gas. So in battle, don't expose any body parts. and wear gas masks at all times. These words made other squads laugh. Support team discussing tactics? Anyone would think you're going to the front lines. Tong Yi's squad hung their heads. A support team meant a non-combat unit of low-ranked soldiers. Tong Yi looked displeased. The city has many routes. Monkey men will escape the cordon. Even in the rear, we can't lower our guard. The man replied dismissively, if what you say happens, I'll handle it then. Recalling his previous life, monkey men had reached the unit's rear through sewers, catching everyone unprepared with poison gas. Tong Yi was hit by a poison dart without warning. As the monkey man's dagger descended, Park Jun-mao intervened, stopping the monkey man, but the dagger still blinded one of Tong Yi's eyes. As Park Jun-mao attempted to put a gas mask on Tong Yi, a dagger flew in, taking his life. This was Tong Yi's greatest regret, and why the Steel Emperor later wore an eye patch. Now Tong Yi shouted, haven't we heard enough dismissal? You're on a battlefield where death can come at any moment. Don't be complacent. Then ordered everyone to install sensors in the sewers, but kept Park Jun-mao behind. Someone will come to replace me. Take the squad away from the combat zone. Park Jun-mao was startled. Leave the combat zone? Isn't that desertion? Tong Yi responded firmly, these are my tactics, Soldier Park Jun-mao. Obey your squad leader's orders. Soon Tong Yi's sensor installation drew Li Mingxi's displeasure. He berated Tong Yi for wasting resources. Dealing with a few monkey men didn't require such measures, especially when we have Blue Lotus Guild support. In 20 minutes, the 1st Battalion will begin eliminating the monkey men. Your support squad just needs to provide gas masks and supplies. Tong Yi didn't back down despite Li Mingxi's rank. We're just completing the deputy commander's task, stopping monkey men from escaping to the rear and entering civilian shelter areas. Tong Yi shouted this especially loud, drawing everyone's attention to Li Mingxi. This made him uncomfortable. The deputy commander might think your decision is good, but know your place. Stop what you're doing, Staff Sergeant Tong Yi. Just then, Deputy Commander Lilith arrived. Lieutenant Li Mingxi, what's happening here? Seeing who it was, Li Mingxi blushed. I was just guiding the support team's inexperienced commander. You seem rushed. Is something wrong? Lilith remembered why she'd come. The commander had ordered her to summon Tong Yi. Tong Yi was puzzled. Are you sure the commander called for me? By now, the monkey men should be appearing. After Lilith confirmed, Tong Yi asked her to help install the sensors. Soon after, in a camouflage truck, Tong Yi met Commander Diamond and Qian Minghao. Diamond had summoned Tong Yi for a special mission, to command the 1st Battalion. With 1st Battalion Commander Choi Young-jun on leave, Tong Yi's task was to close the dungeon, stopping further monster emergence. Meanwhile, the 1st Battalion prepared for their first sweep. They charged into a large warehouse in formation, setting up shields in battle formation. The monkey men hiding in the warehouse swarmed from all directions. But as they approached, the mages gathered their power. Jets of flame shot from the formation, while guns fired through the gaps. The monkey men were driven back. Now Tong Yi was shocked after receiving his mission, but he had no time to command the 1st Battalion. His own squad was in danger. Tong Yi respectfully declined the commander. Since enlisting, I've only served in logistics. Your decision could cost 1st Battalion lives. But Diamond wouldn't relent. This was destiny. A test from him and Qian Minghao of Tong Yi's abilities. Suddenly, alarms blared in the command room. A large group of monkey men had escaped the cordon. Soldiers at shelters 2 and 3, and logistics units, prepare for combat. Tong Yi couldn't sit still, loudly reprimanding Diamond. I know you want to test me by commanding a combat unit, but I won't endanger the 1st Battalion and my squad for this opportunity. I'm grateful for your faith in me, but if it costs my comrades' lives, I'll refuse without hesitation. Diamond sighed. If you're determined, do what you must. But as a soldier, you'll face consequences for disobeying orders. Unknown to Tong Yi, Diamond had already sent the Valkyrie to take over his squad. The Valkyrie's subordinate asked, this is the safest place on the battlefield. Do we really need to guard here? The Valkyrie shook her head. I don't know the commander's intention, but orders are orders. Suddenly a figure entered her vision. Tong Yi shouted urgently, support squad, full retreat! As he spoke, the ground began to shake. Sensors in the sewers triggered one after another. Park Jun-mao and Lilith had just sensed danger. The next second, countless green pillars erupted from the sewers. In moments, green poison gas spread throughout the logistics unit. Damn, why is everything happening faster than I remember? He quickly donned his gas mask and poured water on Cloud Sword, which needed to absorb moisture beforehand. The absorption was only at 25%. He anxiously peered into the poison-obscured distance. Park Jun-mao, I hope you obeyed orders and left with the squad. But contrary to his wishes, Park Jun-mao was already engaged with the monkey men. The monkey men used the poison gas as cover to attack the rear. Injured, and Ming-tai quickly caught Park Jun-mao's attention. He ordered Ming-tai to drop down, then fired several bullets, driving back the monkey men. With cover from his comrades, Ming-tai was dragged into the defensive position, clutching his wound. The defensive position had basic barrier magic, but it could only hold the monkey men briefly. Inside, Lilith trembled with fear. Though she possessed C-class healing magic, this was her first battlefield. Seeing Lilith curled up, Park Jun-mao urged her to pull herself together, but got no response. This made Park Jun-mao despair. Lilith's first combat was understandable, but as the support squad's deputy leader, what could he do in this situation? Just then, a comrade delivered bad news. Deputy leader Park Jun-mao, we're almost out of bullets. The weakening fire lets more monkey men surround us. Park Jun-mao was frantic, pulling at his hair. Damn it, what should I do? Are we just waiting to die? Suddenly a strange thought occurred to him. What would Tong Yi do in this situation? Meanwhile, and Ming Tai fell into a coma due to excessive blood loss, and the Soldier Alliance called out to Lilith for treatment. But they were met with Park Jun-mao's thunderous voice, ordering all team members to retreat with the wounded, not as deserters, but under the captain's command. Everyone hesitated. If they retreated and the monkey man entered the refuge area, ordinary civilians would suffer. Park Jun-mao hastily explained that Captain Tong Yi had already arranged manpower, saying, "When I give the signal, just run for your lives." What Park didn't know was that Tong Yi hadn't arranged any support at all, as he planned to face the monkey man army alone. At that moment, Park activated his lightning ability, with thin electric currents emanating from his hammer, an ability that sounded powerful but barely generated enough electricity to charge a phone. The monkey man all turned their heads. They were attracted by the light in the poisonous mist. Seeing this, Park raised his hammer and charged ahead, drawing away most of the monkey man and giving the support team a chance to breathe. Seeing the opportunity, Park quickly signaled his teammates to retreat. Watching that gradually disappearing figure, everyone's hearts were deeply moved. The monkey man soon caught up with Park, but he had no regrets. If it were Tong Yi, even with minimal abilities, he would have made me the bait without hesitation. Just as the monkey men were about to pounce on Park, a beam of light suddenly cut through the night sky. The nearest monkey man fell in sprays of blood. Park collapsed exhausted on the ground, recognizing the imposing figure before him. A rock-solid sense of security washed over Park. By now, the cloud sword had finished charging, its emitting mist dispersing the poison in the air. "You've done far more than I expected, Vice Captain Park. Thank you for staying alive." The next moment, Tong Yi controlled his daggers to dart through the monkey man ranks. Wherever the blue light passed, only the wails of monkey man remained. The fallen magic steel stirred Tong Yi's emotions. "Ha ha ha, Vice Captain Park, thank you for bringing me such a feast. Now I shall begin my meal." Suddenly, the magical arrays on all the monkey men's foreheads flickered. To the two men's astonishment, the monkey man changed direction, rushing swiftly toward the support team. Tong Yi sensed trouble and hurriedly told Park to reinforce the support team. Meanwhile, the sniper team led by the Valkyrie couldn't lock onto targets due to the thick poison gas. The Valkyrie ordered several members to head to the Green Lotus Guild station to snipe the monkey man and prevent them from entering the civilian shelter. A soldier asked the fully armed Valkyrie, "Aren't you coming with us?" The Valkyrie was suspicious, as Tong Yi seemed to have known everything that would happen today, so she needed to confirm something. She leaped into the poisonous mist. At the same time, support team members were trying to save Ming Tai. Looking at his continuously flowing blood, a soldier dejectedly said, "And Ming Tai's life is coming to an end." Vice Platoon Leader Lilith, please calm down. Lilith, curled up in a corner, hadn't recovered from her fear. As the only one with healing abilities here, she was supposed to be their savior, but her courage had failed her in her first real battle. Suddenly, a strange energy violently pulled at the boxes forming the defensive position. Just as the defensive formation's runes were about to break, two soldiers used all their strength to hold the boxes, fighting against that strange energy, while another soldier hurriedly called for help. The one releasing the strange energy was the monkey man's leader. The leader suddenly increased his magical power input. With a crack, before anyone could help, the defensive formation runes were torn apart. Worse still, the monkey man who had been chasing Park returned at this most critical moment. The two soldiers looked desperate. "It's over. Vice Captain Park must have sacrificed himself." Suddenly, two figures appeared behind the monkey man group. "Damn rats, don't touch my team members," said a voice, forcefully throwing out a dagger. Under Tong Yi's control, the dagger went straight for the leader's head. The monkey man leader quickly dodged backward. Unexpectedly, the dagger made a right-angle turn and approached again. But surprisingly, the leader dodged with stylish footwork, evading the dagger's repeated attacks. Tong Yi paused his assault, giving the monkey man leader a moment to breathe. Only when he looked back did he realize that the containers generating poison gas had been destroyed. The monkey man leader gritted his teeth in anger. At that moment, the ordinary monkey man received an order. They grabbed their weapons and charged toward Tong Yi, but when they reached him, they scattered. The confused Tong Yi kept advancing, unaware that he was now surrounded by Monkey Man. When the time was right, the Monkey Man raised their blowpipes, and hundreds of poison needles shot out silently. By the time Tong Yi reacted, hundreds of poison needles were already heading his way. He quickly swung the cloud sword to shield Park from the needles on the left, but the needles on the right were closing in, seemingly unavoidable. At this critical moment, Tong Yi urgently told Park to get down. Then with a loud shout, he activated his ability, barely altering the trajectory of the poison needles. The massive consumption of magical power instantly made him lose control of his dagger. Tong Yi understood these monkey men must be controlled by their leader. Although he could protect himself, bringing Park along changed things. Tong Yi ordered a retreat to the defensive position. The monkey men naturally wouldn't let him succeed. In an instant, countless poison needles approached silently. Tong Yi, with his keen metal sense, detected them, instantly turned around, and deflected the needles again. Then he leaped into the defensive area. Seeing Tong Yi's smug face inside the barrier, the monkey man leader gnashed his teeth in anger. Tong Yi turned around, his expression becoming extremely serious. His team members all had various injuries. Park frowned deeply. "Captain Tong, and Ming Tai hardly has any pulse left." Tong Yi looked around for Lilith. He soon found her in the corner. "And Ming Tai is about to die? Lilith, what are you doing here?" Seeing her trembling, Tong Yi confirmed it was her panic attack. But she was the team's only healer. If this continued, they would all be wiped out. Tong Yi decisively slapped Lilith across the face. "Do you want everyone here to die? Please regain your senses. The burning sensation on her face brought Lilith back to reality. Seeing Tong Yi's disappointed expression, she finally chose to face reality, refusing to let her comrades die due to her cowardice. Lilith began casting healing magic, continuously channeling magic power into Mingtai. And Mingtai's wounds healed at a visible rate, though due to her late intervention, he had lost a significant amount of blood. So Lilith would use all her strength to save him. Seeing his comrade's life no longer in danger, Tong Yi finally relaxed. Then with a wave of his hand, his teammates' daggers circled around him under his control. Park already guessed Tong Yi's intention. Indeed, this man was about to unleash his revenge. Meanwhile, in a luxury car, a beautiful mature woman received a message that piqued her interest. Deciding to personally meet the person mentioned in it, she instructed her driver to head to. Now Tong Yi stood holding the cloud sword in the monkey man's view. He walked to a pre-marked spot, because standing here meant the prey would walk right into his hunting range. Countless monkey man hid behind cover to observe. But Tong Yi closed his eyes and started sensing. In an instant, all the suspended metals and metals with unique shapes were memorized by Tong Yi. Found you? 5 daggers shot out with whistling sounds. Like venomous snakes, they darted through the monkey man ranks. Each pause of a dagger represented a monkey man's death. Soon, the monkey man leader at the back was also locked onto by a dagger. He hurriedly used a bizarre magic to tightly bind the dagger. Tong Yi felt the anomaly and controlled the remaining 4 daggers to assist. The monkey man leader shouted, releasing immense magical power, with tentacles emerging from a magic array to entangle the remaining daggers. Tong Yi cursed silently, then used all his strength to try breaking free from the restraint. Warning, a stronger force is restricting your metal. This prompt surprised Tong Yi. While he was momentarily stunned, the surviving monkey man shot poison needles at him. With no time to activate his ability, Tong Yi shielded his face with his arms. The poison needles stuck all over Tong Yi's arms. Seeing this, the monkey man leader finally lowered his guard and issued an attack order. The monkey man raised their weapons and began charging toward Tong Yi. Tong Yi's lips curved into a smile. At the critical moment, he had activated steel transformation. The poison needles had pierced his clothes but couldn't penetrate his body. And when the leader lowered his guard, Tong Yi had regained control of the 5 daggers. Now all the monkey men were rushing toward him. In an instant, the nearest monkey man were swiftly killed by the daggers. Tong Yi controlled the daggers to rotate crosswise, forming a huge whirlwind that pulled in the monkey man with terrifying force, instantly grinding them to dust. When the storm stopped, hundreds of monkey men had vanished without a trace. The monkey man leader's exclamation broke the silence. Staring at that figure in terror, Tong Yi glared at him viciously. Let's settle our past life score. This scene made the monkey man leader's eyes bulge with rage. Gritting his teeth, he activated the poison container at maximum power. In an instant, a waterfall of poison gas poured out, falling straight toward Tong Yi. Tong Yi planted the cloud sword before him, with white mist releasing and gradually dispersing the poison gas. Your struggle is meaningless. I deliberately designed this to save you for last. As he spoke, Tong Yi activated metal sensing, constantly monitoring the monkey man leader's movements. He realized that carelessly thrown daggers would only be caught, so he had to strike carefully. But the monkey man leader remained motionless. Just as Tong Yi was puzzled, several tentacles suddenly shot up from the ground toward him. The monkey man leader had released the poison gas to obscure vision and prepare for this attack. Caught off guard, Tong Yi's ankle was entangled by a tentacle. Seeing his attack succeed, the monkey man leader gave a sneering laugh. Then with a thought, he lifted Tong Yi 100 meters into the air. With a powerful jerk, he smashed him toward the ground with tremendous force. A tremendous boom rang out, instantly dispersing several meters of poison gas. After the explosion, the city fell back into silence. The monkey man leader thought he had won and was about to celebrate, when a death-like voice suddenly came from in front of him. Stinking monkey, I've nearly died at your hands several times today. Tong Yi painfully pulled his leg out of the ground. If he hadn't steel transformed his legs at the critical moment, he would have been shattered to pieces. The man and the monkey glared at each other. The next second, the monkey man leader flashed, moving extremely fast through the poison mist. With his metal sensing, Tong Yi detected metal rapidly approaching from behind. Without hesitation, he leaned back to avoid the incoming blade. He despised backstabbing more than anything. Tong Yi shouted, bringing down his sword on the monkey man leader's head with thunderous force. The leader hastily raised his sword to block, but the terrifying force transmitted made his legs tremble and stiffen on the spot. Tong Yi seized the opportunity to steel transform his right leg. He kicked the monkey man leader with lightning force. The leader groaned and spat out several broken teeth. His body flew away like a ball. Tong Yi's kick shattered the monkey man leader's mask, without which he couldn't use magic. Now Tong Yi's icy voice drifted over. Do you know how long I've waited for this moment? From the first day of my return, I've thought of nothing but revenge. You're just my first target, and this will be the greatest honor of your life. The next second, 5 flying knives whistled through the air, striking the leader's body from different directions. The monkey man leader fell to the ground, fear making his body tremble uncontrollably. Tong Yi showed no mercy, lifting him up, because he had lost an eye himself, and lost that weak but determined comrade. Tong Yi raised the cloud sword, endless rage surging in his heart. With a crisp sword ring, the grudge between the Iron Emperor and the monkey man across 2 lifetimes finally dissipated. Tong Yi sighed with relief, having finally taken the first step toward changing the past. Suddenly, the system prompted, Cloud Sword absorbed elite monster blood, unknown energy increased by 11%. When the energy reaches a certain level, Cloud Sword's potential abilities will be unlocked. At the same time, an item dropped from the leader. When Tong Yi discovered its true identity, he was shocked. The Demon Hellfire Metal contained demonic power, the highest equipment in the Demon Metal series. In his previous life, this item fell into the hands of Busan's savior, Hell. The Hellfire Metal transformed his flames qualitatively, but he eventually died at the hands of an undead mage. The Hellfire Metal was also taken by him. Tong Yi had no information about that necromancer. He only knew that, like himself, the necromancer had an ability that grew through specific means. Looking at this divine artifact, Tong Yi was extremely excited. Back then, he had fought desperately but only obtained a lowest-grade replica. While the poison gas hadn't yet dispersed, Tong Yi prepared to consume this metal. Just as he was about to put it in his mouth, a stern voice came from behind. The Valkyrie pointed her sword and demanded, "Private Tong Yi, what exactly are you hiding?" Hearing this, Tong Yi broke into a cold sweat and quickly stuffed the metal into his pocket. Then he turned around with a puzzled expression. "Vice Commander, what are you referring to?" Just then, a beautiful mature woman approached, applauding and praising. "Although I only briefly observed from a distance, your battle deeply impressed me." Recognizing the newcomer, Tong Yi's expression tensed. The Valkyrie frowned. "This is a military operation area. Unauthorized personnel are prohibited. Please leave immediately." The mature woman ignored the Valkyrie's warning and walked straight to Tong Yi. "Nice to meet you. I'm Catherine Yura, captain of the Green Lotus Guild's Capital Exploration Team," she said, handing Tong Yi a business card. Catherine was not only the Green Lotus Guild president's woman but also an A-class awakened who could control poisonous insects. But when she revealed her identity, Tong Yi remained unmoved. Catherine was puzzled. "Don't you recognize me?" Little did she know that upon seeing her, Tong Yi had nearly ground his back teeth to dust. In his previous life, Catherine had joined the evil organization that sought to destroy humanity. The Valkyrie had died horribly under her swarm of poisonous insects. The Valkyrie emphasized her earlier statement, "Please leave immediately." Hearing this, Catherine turned her head in displeasure. "Our Green Lotus Guild has contributed greatly. Your rush to drive me away is truly disheartening." Just then, a car horn broke the awkward atmosphere. Major Commander Diamond emerged from the car with a gloomy expression. His gaze swept over the Monkey Man corpses. Upon seeing the fallen Monkey Man leader, Diamond finally relaxed slightly. Catherine spoke first. "Long time no see, Commander Jin." Diamond smiled faintly. "Thank you for the Green Lotus Guild support. But this is a military operation area. Without prior reporting, unauthorized entry requires immediate departure, even for the Prime Minister." With things stated so clearly, Catherine couldn't say much more. Before leaving, she left a kiss mark on her business card. Then, in full public view, she slipped it into Tong Yi's pocket. "Tong Yi, remember to call me," she said with satisfaction before departing. Diamond paid no attention to this, given your ability to defeat the Monkey Man leader. "I'm entrusting you with the full responsibility of clearing the remaining Monkey Man." Soon, Tong Yi began cleaning up the battlefield. The Monkey Man, whom everyone had underestimated, had caused tremendous casualties. Fortunately, and Ming Tai survived the crisis thanks to Lilith's efforts and was safely sent to the military hospital. A week passed in a flash. Tong Yi realized that taking revenge alone was somewhat challenging, so he focused on his teammates and began their devil's training. Lilith also changed completely. She would cling to Tong Yi at every opportunity. This drove Li Mingxi, who secretly loved Lilith, crazy with anxiety. In contrast, the Major Commander was extremely excited, wanting to promote Tong Yi to officer to create a military culture unaffected by rank restrictions. Though Tong Yi was flattered, he said he would consider it during his vacation. The night before his leave, Tong Yi had absorbed the Hellfire Metal and gained a new ability. Body as Furnace, forming a furnace in the stomach to accelerate metal absorption, though using it would burden the body. Seeing Tong Yi hadn't left the bathroom for a long time, Park Jun-mao came looking for him. With a mischievous smile, he said, "Captain Tong, what interesting things are you doing alone in there?" Tong Yi clutched his burning stomach. The next second, dazzling golden light burst from his 7 orifices. At the moment of metal digestion completion, like a reward release, Tong Yi involuntarily let out a sound of pleasure. When he realized what happened, he was extremely embarrassed, because that strange sound had been heard by Park outside the door. "Oh no, I'm going to be misunderstood as doing weird things in the bathroom." The next day, the vacation arrived as scheduled. Tong Yi took off his uniform and returned to the city. After just a few steps, he unexpectedly ran into Lilith on the street. Although they took the same train, the journey home was filled with awkwardness. Lilith broke the awkward atmosphere first. "Haven't you been on leave for a long time? Your family must be very happy to see you." Tong Yi expressionlessly said he was an orphan, a response that shocked Lilith and filled her with guilt. Seeing Lilith's discomfort, Tong Yi smiled and told her not to worry, as he had comrades who were like family. In his previous life, Tong Yi had discovered a method to become stronger, making him the backbone of the unit. Whenever he recalled that scene, it filled him with happiness. Soon Tong Yi reached his destination. During this 3-night, 4-day vacation, he needed to prepare thoroughly for the future. The first step was to acquire substantial funds. On his way to get funding, Tong Yi noticed Blue Tree Group advertisements everywhere. Blue Tree. Their group's chairman, Gordon, had a fortune of nearly $1 trillion. He had not only bribed many high-ranking officials, but most awakened ones had also received assistance from the Blue Tree Group. However, Tong Yi's eyes revealed intense hatred. because Gordon was the one who killed him in his previous life. Tong Yi had summarized many reasons for his defeat, with the core being a lack of money. Fortunately, he knew the future opportunities in advance, so even his small amount of money could grow exponentially. Moments later, Tong Yi entered a place called Hope Guild. Before he could enter, he heard arguing voices. A white-haired man was gripping a chubby man's collar angrily. "Making us work as security at an event venue? How dare you accept such an unwanted commission?" The chubby man stammered. "Our guild hasn't received any commissions for months. I finally got this one with great difficulty. If we refuse, we'll go bankrupt." Just then, someone pushed open the Hope Guild's door. Recognizing the newcomer, the white-haired man greeted him warmly. But Tong Yi ignored him and walked straight past. This made the white-haired man displeased. "Haven't seen you for years, and you've become so disrespectful. Have you forgotten the lesson from high school?" In early high school, Tong Yi and the white-haired man named Li Yuanjie were the only awakened ones in their class, and they quickly became familiar. But when Tong Yi demonstrated his ability, he was mocked by everyone. Li Yuanjie even punched Tong Yi to the ground. "With just these skills, you dare call yourself an awakened one? What a joke. A useless piece of trash showing off. Want me to beat you up again like before?" The chubby man hurried forward to mediate, but was also cursed by Li Yuanjie. "If you don't want to die with this guy, get out now." Tong Yi's expression hardened. "Want to kill me? You can try." These words instantly ignited Li Yuanjie's fury. His fist, wrapped in a hurricane, shot like lightning toward Tong Yi. Tong Yi didn't dodge or avoid, didn't even blink, but Li Yuanjie's fist stopped motionless in front of him. In an instant, several sharp blades surrounded him. One step forward, and Li Yuanjie would be cut into pieces. After a tense moment, Li Yuanjie's underling came in, calling him to leave quickly as they would miss the time for their security commission at the event venue. After Li Yuanjie left, Tong Yi told the chubby man about several projects that would surge in value in the future. The chubby man named Pujie Shu was the president of the Hope Guild and the benefactor who helped Tong Yi discover how to improve his abilities. However, when someone suddenly claims they can earn life-changing money, it's hard for anyone to believe, Pujie Shu included. Tong Yi took out business cards from the Green Lotus Guild, the Black Tiger Special Forces, and one representing military officers. He said these were all contacts who had revealed this information to recruit him. Then Tong Yi smiled and handed over his bank card. "This is the inheritance from my parents. A total of 20 million won. Please help me invest it during my service period, brother." Meanwhile, Li Yuanjie was working as security with his underlings outside a company, but he couldn't forget Tong Yi's arrogant attitude, his teeth grinding in anger. However, this scene was witnessed by the employer. "You brainless adventurers, what are you raging about in this solemn place?" These words completely ignited Li Yuanjie's anger. With an uppercut, he sent the employer flying 3 meters high. Then he vented his hatred for Tong Yi by punching the employer again and again. Only when the employer completely lost consciousness did Li Yuanjie stop. Panting heavily, he said viciously to his underling, "Help me put a bounty on someone. That arrogant Tong Yi." After saying goodbye to the Hope Guild president, Tong Yi arrived at a commercial street for awakened ones. A legendary dwarf blacksmith would emerge here. When monsters first appeared in the world, some communicable races also appeared, with dwarves among them. They possessed very advanced technology and made enormous contributions to resisting monsters from the portals. Tong Yi's goal was to recruit the future legendary dwarf blacksmith. Soon he entered a blacksmith shop. The shop's owner was Jiang Zhengdu, who had been expelled from the blacksmith organization due to his solitary nature and was now facing financial difficulties. Seeing a customer arrive, Jiang Zhengdu coldly said, "This shop only sells weapons on the counter. Don't set your sights on anything else." Tong Yi felt awkward but nodded in agreement. Then his gaze fell on the weapon Jiang Zhengdu was forging. It was a spear that looked crude, but would slay a giant dragon in the future, known as the Dragon Spear. Just then, a girl walked in and stared at Tong Yi. "Grandpa, what's going on? Who is this guy?" Hearing this, Jiang Zhengdu was somewhat annoyed. "How can you call a customer this guy?" Tong Yi didn't mind, as memories of the past surfaced. The girl was actually the future legendary blacksmith, Zhang Baishui. In his previous life, she had fought alongside him but died tragically. This time, he must protect her. By now, Jiang Baishu had scanned Tong Yi from head to toe. Coat worth 100,000, boots worth 30,000. Her attitude immediately changed. "Oh, an esteemed customer. Please tell me whatever you want to buy." Tong Yi was speechless. Indeed, this girl's money-loving nature hadn't changed. Since he had already caught her attention, the next step was to gain her trust. Tong Yi purchased 200,000 worth of goods at the blacksmith shop, making Jiang Baishu beam with joy. "My goodness, not just a customer but an honorable boss." But Jiang Zhengdu was quite puzzled. "Honorable boss, you clearly don't look like a mage. Why buy poison, attribute magic steel, and mithril pearls?" Hearing this, Jiang Baishu hurriedly stopped her grandfather, fearing the big boss would change his mind. But Tong Yi smiled and explained, "I really need these items, and the quality here is good. I'll visit frequently in the future." After all this, Tong Yi returned to his hotel. He needed to significantly increase his poison resistance before his vacation ended. Then he was seen grabbing a piece of poisonous magic steel and stuffing it into his mouth. "You have ingested metal with toxicity. After absorption, poison resistance will increase slightly." Tong Yi activated his body as furnace to accelerate metal absorption, with scorching flames continuously melting the magic steel. Unbearable pain spread throughout Tong Yi's body. This process repeated for 2 days, and all the poison attribute magic steel was absorbed. His poison resistance also increased to the second stage. The system prompted, "Congratulations on your first potential breakthrough. You've gained the special skill metal crushing. Consume magic power to crush a certain amount of metal." However, before Tong Yi could rejoice, his metal sensing detected metal rapidly approaching. The next second, a man smashed open the door to Tong Yi's room with one punch. It was Li Yuanjie. Over these 2 days, his underlings had discovered Tong Yi's location, and upon receiving the news, Li Yuanjie had rushed over without delay. The moment he saw Tong Yi, Li Yuanjie pounced like the wind, but Tong Yi easily blocked his iron fist by simply metallizing his arm. Li Yuanjie was shocked but still didn't take this F-grade waste seriously. He followed with a sweeping kick, which Tong Yi avoided by bending down. "Although I couldn't beat you 2 days ago, it's different now." Using metal control to empower his arm, Tong Yi delivered a powerful uppercut to Li Yuanjie's abdomen. The intense pain made him curl up on the ground like a dead dog. Tong Yi took the opportunity to ask his burning question. "Compared to what you did to me in school, what happened that day was nothing. Why are you still so aggressive?" However, this feeling of being looked down upon enraged Li Yuanjie further. Red patterns appeared on his calves. This shocked Tong Yi greatly, who angrily rebuked, "Don't you know using abilities here will harm many ordinary people?" But Li Yuanjie couldn't care less now, his mind fixated only on killing Tong Yi. Meanwhile, Tong Yi was about to jump out the window to move the battlefield, avoiding harm to innocents. But Li Yuanjie had already unleashed his skill, landing a vicious kick on Tong Yi's body. With a thunderous crash, the wall exploded into a massive hole. Tong Yi's body flew backward through the air. Unavoidably, Li Yuanjie's fist came crashing toward him again. Tong Yi combined his steel transformation with metal manipulation to control his body and make it turn midair. This surprised Li Yuanjie. This guy could actually fly. After recovering from his shock, Li Yuanjie kicked again. With a boom, surrounding vehicles flipped over, yet Tong Yi easily dodged by controlling his body to slide backward. The enormous noise alarmed the hotel residents, who peered out to discover 2 awakened ones fighting below. Li Yuanjie pulled his leg from the ground, growing anxious after missing twice. "If you've got the guts, stop hiding like a rat. Come at me like before." Li Yuanjie lunged forward again, deploying his leg techniques with blinding speed, yet still couldn't even graze Tong Yi's clothes. The hurricane from their battle had already overturned several vehicles. Even the entire hotel shook violently, as if in an earthquake. Tong Yi wasn't counterattacking precisely because he feared accidentally harming civilians. Yet these civilians, oblivious to the danger, were even posting about it on social media. Li Yuanjie now realized Tong Yi's intentions. "So you're holding back because of these people. Then I'll just have to eliminate these nuisances for you." As he spoke, red patterns glowed again on his shins. This action completely enraged Tong Yi, the soldier. "Are you going to destroy this building? These people have nothing to do with me." But Li Yuanjie had lost all reason. "These bugs have angered me. If you want to stop me, struggle with all your might." Hearing this, Tong Yi seemed to make up his mind, because Li Yuanjie was beyond saving. At the moment of Li Yuanjie's full-force attack, Tong Yi activated Metal Shatter. The armor on Li Yuanjie's shin instantly shattered, interrupting his skill. A piercing scream suddenly echoed throughout the city. Li Yuanjie clutched his bleeding right leg, howling in agony. Tong Yi fiercely questioned Li Yuanjie, "Why did you have to take it this far?" The arrogant Li Yuanjie responded, puzzled, "Isn't squashing an annoying mosquito just the natural thing to do?" This answer shocked Tong Yi, but he maintained his composure, merely warning Li Yuanjie not to appear before him again, or next time he'd lose more than just a leg. The next morning, police had cordoned off the scene. Tong Yi, involved in the incident, was taken to the station, but was released without charges after witnesses testified he had only prevented Li Yuanjie from causing trouble. The officer remarked it was the first time he'd seen an awakened battle where one side emerged completely unscathed. Tong Yi smiled faintly. "Yeah, if his leg armor hadn't suddenly exploded, I wouldn't have survived." After completing his statement, Tong Yi left the station, his expression now grave. Today was not only the last day of holiday, but also the day a gate would appear. In his previous life, days after the Monkey People incident, news reported a gate appearing at the high-speed rail station, resulting in a horrifying death toll of 745. Tong Yi rushed to the station without even eating breakfast. The station was now packed with people. Though Tong Yi wanted to create a disturbance to evacuate civilians, he couldn't. The villain hiding in the crowd would be alerted and become cautious. Just then, Lilith called out to Tong Yi. She asked angrily, "I heard you were at the police station yesterday. The unit's in chaos, and why isn't your phone working?" Tong Yi explained his phone was broken, but wondered why Lilith was here. She shouldn't have been in his previous life. Checking the time, he saw the portal would open in 1 minute. Too late to evacuate Lilith. So Tong Yi instructed her, "When I give the signal, run to a place with gas masks." Lilith was bewildered by these words. The next second, a massive portal suddenly appeared on the station ceiling. Foul-smelling gas instantly swept through the area. Then a grotesque giant mouth lunged out from the portal. Tong Yi quickly called to Lilith, "Now! "Evacuate and get gas masks quickly." But Lilith refused, insisting that as a soldier, even without combat ability, she could help evacuate and treat the wounded. "I don't know what you're planning, but you must survive." The giant spider quickly came through the portal, landing with a thunderous crash. The unsuspecting people around finally reacted and scattered in panic. Those who couldn't run fast enough became the monster's food. Meanwhile, Diamond was being reprimanded by his superior for appointing an F-class soldier as an officer. But he insisted that lower-ranked awakened ones could also qualify as officers, unwilling to waste genuine talent. This made his superior's expression darken. A single glance made Diamond tremble involuntarily. This superior was Brigadier General Kui Jingsha, ranked 31st among national awakened ones, capable of wide-area magic and hailed as a weapon of war. Kui Jingsha took this matter very seriously. Now retired soldiers are all joining civilian guilds. If even an F-class can be an officer in our unit, who would join us? Diamond was rendered speechless by these words. Just then, a phone call came in reporting, "Brigadier General, a gate has appeared at the high-speed rail station and it's an unfortunate gate." Hearing this, both men in the office were shocked, as unfortunate gates applied negative effects to players or added difficult rules to dungeons. Meanwhile, the station was now covered by a dark veil, with a prompt above. "This dungeon allows entry but no exit. Entry level requirement 15. Survival condition, survive 6 hours or defeat the boss monster." Inside, security personnel had already engaged the giant spider, with several awakened ones using flames to trap it. A man asked, "What kind of monster is this giant spider? I've never seen it in any guide." But as he spoke, the giant spider suddenly charged at him, its huge mouth about to devour him. Security Captain Tian Wan stepped forward, pushing the man away. Sharp-eyed Tian Wan saw flames couldn't harm the spider monster, so he ordered his team to switch to a freezing formation. Instantly, tree roots and ice pillars shot forth, gradually freezing the spider monster. But Tian Wan frowned, knowing his small team couldn't hold out long against such a monster. They needed to take its eyes during the freeze. Tian Wan leaped up, his sword gathering magic power. Unexpectedly, the giant spider suddenly broke free from the ice, opening its mouth to welcome Tian Wan. Just as Tian Wan was about to fall into the spider monster's mouth, several silver steel balls shot through the air, knocking Tian Wan away. The person who intervened was Tong Yi, who immediately recognized this monster as the poison armor spider, with skin made of thick steel, difficult to damage with ordinary attacks. But Tong Yi was fearless, seeing this as a chance to confirm his strength, his eyes flashing with a cold light. Metal Shatter activated, and 2 cracks appeared in the giant spider's back armor. But this wasn't enough. Tong Yi amplified Metal Shatter to maximum power, as magic power consumed frantically. With a splatter sound, the giant spider's thick armor finally shattered. This scene shocked everyone present. "This guy is so strong." Tong Yi's lips curved into a smile. With this level of power, he should be able to stop this portal, and even claim the nest-clearing reward for himself. The thought filled him with excitement. "Ha ha ha ha! I'll rip off all your armor and eat it!" Tong Yi shouted, controlling the silver steel balls to attack. With countless whistling sounds, the balls hammered the giant spider's now unprotected back. Then Tong Yi made the balls rotate in a crisscross pattern, boring into the giant spider's body like a drill. In an instant, the giant spider's internal organs were pulverized as if in a blender. Within a few breaths, it lost all life signs and collapsed. Tian Wan had witnessed everything. A monster that their entire security team couldn't scratch had been defeated single-handedly by this man. Though he'd seen many A-class awakened ones fight, none had made it look so effortless. Could this be the legendary S-class power? Tian Wan trembled as he asked, "Are you an S-class awakened one?" Tong Yi didn't answer, only reminding Tian Wan they couldn't relax yet. Looking up, 2 more giant spiders had appeared in the portal. Tong Yi's eyes filled with excitement and confidence, the previous battle having solidified his resolve. "Then I'll stop this portal!" Meanwhile, outside the dungeon, thousands of military troops had gathered. Even the top-ranked civilian guild, Blue Lotus, had deployed in full force. But due to the unfortunate gate's level 15 entry restriction, they could only wait. A rookie mage from Blue Lotus asked, "Couldn't we gather all the mages and use siege magic to break that dome?" But a veteran told him that was impossible, as the dome was created by system rules. Unless they overthrew the system itself, it couldn't be broken. Moments later, a 4-person helicopter and an armed helicopter landed. Out stepped Battalion Commander Diamond and Blue Lotus Guild leader Catherine. Diamond asked, "How many below level 15 awakened ones does your Blue Lotus Guild have?" Catherine was taken aback by this question. As a top-ranked guild, how could we recruit awakened ones below level 15? But are you really planning to send in a support team? That's suicide. Hearing this, Diamond removed his sunglasses with a solemn face. There are at least 800 ordinary people in that dungeon. What kind of soldiers would we be if we only cared about our own lives? Diamond's decision came because he knew there was a reliable ace inside the dungeon. Currently, Tong Yi was using his skill to shatter the armor spider's thick plating. Just then, another armor spider seized the opportunity to swing its claws at him. The next second, a flash of electricity sparked as Tong Yi controlled his body to slide rapidly, avoiding the attack. He called for the security team to freeze this one like before. The security team received the instruction and promptly released their magic. In an instant, tree roots and ice pillars shot forth, firmly binding the armor spider in place. Seeing the situation deteriorate, The remaining armor spider immediately attacked the security team. But just as it was about to succeed, several silver steel balls crashed into it like cannonballs, knocking it back. Next, Tong Yi controlled the balls to rotate in a crisscross pattern. With an agonizing howl, the armor spider's body was instantly drilled through with a gaping hole. Meanwhile, with one mage's control missing, the frozen armor spider shook violently and broke free. But Tong Yi just smiled. "Are you in a hurry to join your friends?" Two cold flashes shot from his eyes. Metal shatter activated, and the armor spider's armor exploded in an instant. Then several silver steel balls mercilessly claimed its life. This scene was observed by a certain villain, who cursed, "Damn it. I can't believe my first mission failed like this." After confirming no further danger, the security team thanked Tong Yi and asked for his name. Tong Yi didn't answer, but his gaze intensely scanned each security team member. A question formed in his mind. In his previous life, he'd heard the villain hiding here was a member of the security team, but now he couldn't find him. Thinking this, Tong Yi decided to act early, denying the villain any opportunity. Then he answered the security captain's question, "My name isn't important. What matters is that this is a double dungeon." Meanwhile, outside the dungeon, Diamond announced, "I appoint Li Mingxi as commander of this rescue operation. Though it pains me to send you low-level awakened ones in there, the citizens' lives are in your hands. You must fulfill your duty to protect them." Then Diamond instructed Li Mingxi, "If you encounter Private Tong Yi during the operation, please actively adopt his suggestions." At the station's B1 level, there was indeed another portal. However, inside the portal stood a man, staring at the countless monster corpses in disbelief. What happened? Why are all the monsters dead? But he knew now wasn't the time for anger. If he completed this mission, he'd be promoted to an official villain. It turned out that villains also had a mission system. His first mission was to buy time until the poison armor spiders established their nest in the station, but that mission had already failed. The second mission was to slaughter over 500 civilians by any means necessary. The third mission was to deliver an item obtained from the evil seeker to the villain alliance. These were missions that other awakened ones could never access in their lifetime, missions that could reverse one's fate. So he needed to stay calm now. But just then, several silver steel balls whistled through the air, lightning fast toward the man. Just as they were about to hit, thick vines suddenly grew from beneath the man's feet, deflecting all the incoming balls. Then he smiled sinisterly. "Don't attack. I'm from the station security team." But his lie was mercilessly exposed by Tong Yi. "So your plan was to put on a security uniform, blend in with the citizens, and if any awakened ones survive the spiders, you could easily ambush them after gaining their trust. Am I right, Liang Tieju?" Liang Tieju was startled. "Who are you? How do you know me?" Tong Yi chuckled. "I not only know you, but I'm quite familiar with you, you damn villain." The word villain triggered Liang Tieju's killing intent. Countless vines instantly spread out, stabbing toward Tong Yi. "I know your strength is probably A-class, but those iron balls of yours are useless against me." However, the corner of Tong Yi's mouth curved wildly upward. "I know that too, which is why I have abilities that counter you." Just as Liang Tieju's vines thrust toward Tong Yi's body suddenly became ethereal. The next second, using his ability, he controlled himself to slide beyond the vines' attack range. Liang Tieju was shocked, unable to understand how Tong Yi moved so fast. Even more surprising was Tong Yi's flight ability, as he instantly flew to Liang Tieju's front along with the silver steel balls. Then came a series of bangs as the silver steel balls hammered Liang Tieju under Tong Yi's control. He hastily released vines to protect himself. With another hand, he controlled vines to block Tong Yi's path. Unexpectedly, Tong Yi performed a mid-air double jump, easily breaking through the encirclement. Then he controlled the silver steel balls to attack Liang Tieju's weakly defended side. Though Liang Tieju blocked the balls with vines, he was puzzled why this opponent would stupidly charge at him when his attacks were ineffective. While he was distracted, Tong Yi had already flown to Liang Tieju's face. Liang Tieju was delighted. "My ability is man-eating wood. Any living thing that touches my vines will be completely dissolved." Several small tendrils extended from the vines, tightly wrapping around one of Tong Yi's arms. But Tong Yi merely grinned, because now his limbs had transformed into steel. The next second, searing flames gathered in Tong Yi's mouth, a hidden skill called Body as Furnace, which could spew out undigested metal from within his body. Liang Tieju widened his eyes in shock. "I can't believe this metal manipulator also has fire abilities." Then Liang Tieju quickly spoke. "Brother, I'm on a mission. If you spare me, I'll give you the Unfortunate Gates reward item." But Tong Yi ignored him, having been tricked by Liang Tieju's tactics in his previous life. In that life, Liang Tieju had broken through to Pika class. His man-eating wood could easily cover an entire city, earning him the poetic title Great Compassion Tree King. And to save Liang Tieju's hostages, the Metal Emperor had suffered severe injuries. Now Tong Yi's flames had burned through the vine barrier. The next second, raging flames engulfed Liang Tieju's entire body. Meanwhile, outside, the support team was entering the dungeon in an orderly fashion. Strangely, upon entering, they found no dead civilians. Security Captain Tianwan explained, "Thanks to your military member, we successfully evacuated all citizens." Li Mingxi asked if that person was called Tong Yi, with spiky hair and a tendency to laugh sinisterly. Tianwan confirmed this, saying they had acted on his instructions. But Li Mingxi was very displeased. "That guy is just F-class, while I'm C-class. So now everyone follows my command." Before he finished, Tianwan was the first to object. "I may not know Tong Yi's rank, but I know he's fully qualified to be my commander, and I'm C-class too." Why should I listen to you? As they argued, a woman ran over in panic. Recognizing her as Lilith, Li Mingxi immediately went to greet her, but Lilith pushed him aside. Bad news. The citizens have discovered this is a double dungeon. Elsewhere, citizens were panicking. Why did you hide the secret of the double dungeon? You just wanted to use us as meat shields to buy time. A guard explained, we just wanted to avoid unnecessary panic. And where did you hear such nonsense? The citizens answered truthfully that a scarred guard had revealed it. That guard was Liang Tieju, who now had one side of his body burned black. He was extremely bitter after so much preparation for his mission. Why did he have to encounter Tong Yi, this bane of his existence? The next second, Tong Yi's silver steel balls ended his life. Just then, a heavenly palace appeared before him. Two fairies flew out from the palace. They circled around Tong Yi, bestowing blessings upon him. System prompt. Your stamina is rapidly recovering. You have received a hidden quest. Person with light, become the dawn of the world. For preventing the human traitor rebels' plot, you have earned the opportunity to become humanity's guardian sentinel. This quest will guide you to become the light of the world. Do you accept this quest? Tong Yi's gaze was incredibly resolute. The world will asked again, do you really want to refuse becoming the savior? Tong Yi decisively chose to refuse. Though becoming a savior would grant additional rewards, a savior's actions would also be constrained. For instance, when Tong Yi often let out sinister laughs, the world will would remind him to maintain a proper demeanor. Or when Tong Yi wanted to devour equipment to upgrade, the world will would remind him that these items were not edible. The fairies, expecting an easy mission completion, were now bewildered by this rejection. It was their first rejection ever. The yellow-haired fairy showed a hint of resignation. The red-haired fairy glared angrily. Then they disappeared along with the heavenly palace. Tong Yi waved his hand, and an item flew out from the pile of bones. Congratulations on obtaining the item. Akashic Arsenal Key Number 2. This key was what Liang Tieju was willing to slaughter citizens to find, surely an essential item for the villain alliance. Tong Yi pocketed the key. Since the key has fallen into my hands, I'll be the one to safeguard it. Elsewhere, the security team and rescue team were desperately calming the citizens. Though we concealed the secret of the double dungeon, we would never use you as shields. Nearby, Tong Yi analyzed the situation. That Liang Tieju caused quite a problem before dying. Soon, Li Mingxi spoke up. Everyone calm down. If you don't trust the security team, then trust and follow me, the rescue team leader. But you only sent 6 people in. How can you protect so many of us? Suddenly, a shout from the distance drew everyone's attention. What are you doing? If the portal erupts again, none of you will escape? These words instantly terrified the citizens. But their leader explained, we're doing this because we can't trust you. Tong Yi just fiercely told the citizens, believe it or not, you have to believe. The security team has already risked their lives fighting. Who else will fight for you now? The citizens were momentarily speechless. But suddenly, Li Mingxi angrily rebuked, Tong Yi, how dare you threaten the citizens? And where were you hiding? Why only appear now? I just went to stop the double dungeon. These words confirmed Tian Wan's thoughts. He really was an S-class awakened one. But Li Mingxi didn't believe it at all. Stop a double dungeon alone? You can't even bother to make your lies convincing. Tong Yi glared at Li Mingxi. The portal is about to erupt again. Citizens, please hide quickly. Security and rescue teams, follow me. Under Tong Yi's powerful leadership, the citizens and security team executed the orders systematically. Park Jun-mao seized the opportunity to place the cloud sword in Tong Yi's hands. Moments later, all combat personnel gathered at the station entrance. Tong Yi told them the monsters from the first eruption weren't even in the guidebook, though he and the security team barely stopped the first wave. As monsters from an unfortunate gate, they seemed to be missing something. So Tong Yi guessed the second wave might feature monsters with spider venom attributes. Considering this possibility, we should wear gas masks in advance. Also, the station isn't large. If the poison gas keeps spreading, citizens will be exposed. We must lure the monsters outside. Everyone listened intently, except Li Mingxi, who gnashed his teeth in rage. I'm the leader. Why is everyone listening to this S-class waste? Soon Tong Yi began explaining his battle plan. When the monsters appeared, he would lure them outside. The security and rescue teams would each form a squad and wait outside. Then, from covered positions, they would attack the monsters he lured out. Just like the first eruption, they only needed to contain the monsters to buy time. Once he used his ability to remove the monster's armor, everyone would concentrate attacks on that area for the kill. To increase battle success, Lilith and Captain Li Mingxi needed to command from a high position. If the captain can use spatial distortion to keep me moving, I can focus all my magic on shattering the spider's armor. As long as Lilith continuously replenishes the captain's magic, spatial distortion can last until battle's end. And if any group faces danger, the captain can transfer them away with his ability. Everyone looked at Li Mingxi. Li Mingxi covered his rising smile. Good. Following this strategy, we should complete the mission without losses. I'm counting on you, rescue team captain. After finalizing tactics, everyone donned gas masks and awaited the portal's eruption. Suddenly, the portal began rotating rapidly. Tong Yi knew the eruption was beginning and warned everyone to prepare. With a bang, a giant spider came through the portal, crashing to the ground. Tong Yi laughed sinisterly. Let's begin! I can't wait any longer. But in the next second, the giant spider slowly rose and transformed into a humanoid spider monster 50 meters tall. System prompt, boss has appeared. Please defeat the boss. In an instant, Tong Yi's excitement turned to horror. The future had changed. When teammates received Tong Yi's retreat order, they were confused, but the captain still had everyone hold position to prevent monsters from approaching citizens. Then the boss suddenly turned to see its companions' corpses. This filled it with immense grief, its teeth grinding with a chilling sound. The next second, the boss roared thunderously at Tong Yi. Then its claws, carrying the force of 10,000 armies, smashed down toward him. With a massive crash, the concrete ground shattered into a crater tens of meters wide, but Tong Yi quickly dodged using his ability. He realized his actions had changed the future. If he couldn't stop this creature, no one in the dungeon would survive. With a crackling sound, metal shatter activated, and the boss's head armor sparked with electricity. However, to Tong Yi's surprise, after consuming a third of his magic, he'd only created 2 tiny cracks. System prompt, shatter failed. The metal's strength far exceeds the power of shatter. In that moment of shock, the boss's claws flashed toward him. Tong Yi controlled his body to rise slightly, narrowly avoiding the attack. This strike directly severed the pillar behind Tong Yi. This gave him an idea, though the chance of success was low. But he believed Captain Li Mingxi would understand his intentions. In a previous life's battle, Li Mingxi had saved Tong Yi with his spatial distortion ability. Afterward, Tong Yi had constantly praised Li Mingxi. "I heard that when you were an officer, Major General, you memorized the entire tactics textbook. So it wasn't just boasting after all." But Li Mingxi hadn't been proud. Combat tactics can't be mastered just from book theory. To overcome the limitation that spatial distortion can only be used from the rear, you must calculate all tactical details perfectly. Every one of my tactics is the result of research aimed at survival. However, Li Mingxi now thought of Tong Yi as a troublemaker. What was this guy doing? Why wasn't he following the plan to lure the monster out? Tong Yi was still constantly dodging the boss's attacks, despite having consumed most of his magic power. But he firmly believed that with Li Mingxi's vast knowledge, he would surely understand what he was trying to do. As the pillars of the high-speed rail station collapsed one after another, Li Mingxi finally noticed something unusual. Tong Yi wasn't dodging randomly, but deliberately guiding the boss's attacks toward the pillars. This troublemaker, could he be planning to collapse the entire station? Immediately, Li Mingxi called to Lilith to grant him maximum magical power, because he would need to create a massive distorted space. By now, only one pillar remained standing in the station. Seeing that multiple attacks had failed, the boss changed its claws to fists. Then it slammed both fists into the ground, causing the entire floor to crack and countless stone fragments to fly out. Even with Tong Yi's incredible flight speed, he couldn't avoid this wide-range attack. In the moment when Tong Yi's body froze, the boss's deadly claws were already lunging at his face. In desperation, Tong Yi used his remaining magic to metalize his body. With a tremendous crash, the last pillar was cut down, and Tong Yi's body was sent flying back like a cannonball. As the pillar broke, the entire station shook violently. Cracks spread rapidly, clearly about to collapse within moments. Tong Yi struggled to his feet, knowing the station was about to fall, but he couldn't let the boss realize it, so he had to become the bait. Meanwhile, Li Mingxi yelled angrily, "Tong Yi, you troublemaker, get out of there now! Don't you know that if I activate spatial distortion now, you might get caught in it?" Tong Yi's expression hardened. "Captain, now's the time. If we miss this chance, we're all finished." Li Mingxi gritted his teeth and activated spatial distortion. A portal suddenly appeared beneath the boss's feet, causing its entire body to fall through. The other end of the portal was at the center of the station's first basement floor. Seeing this, Tong Yi smiled faintly. "Well done, my comrades." The next second, the station finally collapsed, burying both Tong Yi and the boss alive. In the end, Tong Yi's body fell helplessly into the abyss. As death approached, he recalled his past life, where despite defeating monsters in one battle, he had lost too many comrades. This made Tong Yi doubt whether he deserved to be a commander. His weak performance frustrated the Valkyrie nearby. Qualification is never given by others. If you feel lost, just look at the eyes of those who trust and follow you. When Tong Yi opened his eyes again, a bright light appeared before him. He also heard 2 people calling his name, Li Mingxi and Lilith. At the critical moment, Li Mingxi had severely overtaxed his magic, to barely use spatial distortion to teleport Tong Yi back from death's grasp. Outside the dungeon, the countdown continued to tick away. Every minute and second was torture for Diamond and Catherine. All media outlets were demanding Diamond issue a statement about strategies against the boss monster. Green Lotus Guild headquarters also warned Catherine that if she couldn't resolve this dungeon, she would be removed from her position as director of strategy. Diamond gave Catherine a pleading look. Catherine sighed. "Looks like I'll have to make a call for help." Meanwhile, Lilith was using all her power to heal Tong Yi's wounds. Her voice was full of worry and blame. "Tong Yi, are you crazy? I thought I'd never see you again." But Tong Yi had fallen into confusion. The future had changed, and he didn't know how long his knowledge of events would continue to help him. Seeing Tong Yi ignoring her, Li Mingxi grabbed his collar angrily. "Who gave you the right to act alone? You think making decisions by yourself is for everyone's good? Absolutely not. The foundation of tactics is trust, believing your teammates will complete agreed actions at agreed times. I ask you, did you ever trust your teammates from the beginning?" The Valkyrie's words echoed in Tong Yi's mind again. He smiled slightly. "Captain Li, thank you for helping me find myself again." Li Mingxi looked confused, but Tong Yi only told her that he had thought of a good idea. "The boss's skin is pure steel. We can use electric shocks against it, and this tactic requires everyone to work together." With a thunderous crash, a fierce wind suddenly rose from the ruins. Then the spider boss emerged from the ground, swinging its claws. The security team followed Tong Yi's tactics, beginning to release water and ice magic against the boss. Before the freezing magic could complete, someone needed to control the boss, so 2 security team members constructed an amplification magic array. Then Park Jun-mao released all his lightning. Under the effect of the amplification array, the spider boss was electrocuted and convulsed, unable to resist at all. But suddenly a man let out an angry roar. The spreading sound waves made everyone's ears ring and their vision blur, nearly causing them to collapse. Then the man walked straight to the boss. "Thank you all for your hard work." 5 minutes earlier, outside the dungeon, Diamond had accepted an interview with the media. He announced that the military had dispatched a second rescue team into the door of misfortune. Hearing this, the media eagerly asked, "Given that a boss has appeared in the dungeon, yet you're sending in a rescue team below level 15, are you planning to overcome the dungeon with sheer numbers?" Facing this question, Diamond appeared very confident. "You needn't worry about unnecessary casualties, because the second rescue team is an S-rank awakener who isn't restricted by level limits." Looking at the suddenly appearing tall figure, Tong Yi chuckled. "You finally came, Zhang Taishan." Zhang Taishan, known as the Boxing King, was the world's 9th-ranked awakener. He immediately ordered everyone to retreat, saying he wanted this prey all to himself. In the previous life, it was also the Boxing King's appearance that had cleared the dungeon. The Boxing King had also obtained the ultimate equipment that transformed him into an invincible war god. But in this life, your ultimate equipment will belong to us. By now, the Boxing King and the boss had begun fighting. The Boxing King merely raised his hand lightly and caught the boss's claw, carrying tremendous force. "You seem quite good at fighting, but your strength is still too weak." As he spoke, the Boxing King's gloves suddenly burst with dazzling light. The next second, a beam of light shot out, sending the boss flying dozens of meters away. After landing, the boss staggered to its feet and looked at the Boxing King with eyes full of terror. However, the Boxing King just exclaimed in delight, "I didn't expect this attack wouldn't even leave a scratch on you. This really excites my competitive spirit." The Boxing King lightly tapped the ground with his toe. The next second, he shot forward like a meteor. By the time everyone reacted, the Boxing King's iron fist had already struck the boss's face. Meanwhile, Tong Yi had recovered considerably under Lilith's healing. Then he leaped into the battlefield. By now, the Boxing King's iron fists had struck the boss hundreds of times. Even the boss's hard steel skin was cracking under the blows. Just then, electrical sparks suddenly blasted open the skin on the boss's chest. The Boxing King looked displeased at the person who had interfered. "Do you have a death wish?" "I said I wanted this prey all to myself," Tong Yi sarcastically replied. "You suddenly barged into our controlled battle. Even if you're S rank, that's too unethical." As he spoke, Tong Yi was already controlling his cloud sword to attack the boss. "Damn it, playing dirty on me?" The next second, the Boxing King unleashed his full power, closely chasing after the cloud sword. "Damn it, we've struggled through life and death to get here. I won't let you take away the rewards." In the blink of an eye, both the cloud sword and the Boxing King reached the boss. With a thunderous boom, the boss's figure was completely engulfed in flames. System notification, boss monster defeated, all restrictions in this area lifted. The dome covering the high-speed rail station also disappeared the moment the notification sounded. Then the system announced, contribution rankings will now be calculated, and rewards will be distributed according to rank. The Boxing King looked at his reward, his face extremely gloomy. His contribution only ranked second. The final defeat of the boss had come from the cloud sword piercing its heart. After absorbing the boss's blood, the cloud sword had gained a slight increase in its unknown energy. As the top contributor, Tong Yi received an item, Minarum's Secret Armor. This item was above legendary, hero class. When infused with magic, it generated transparent armor on the skin. It also had a special ability to open a subspace for item storage. Just then, the Boxing King's angry voice came from nearby. "Hey you! Where did my reward go? You'd better explain." Tong Yi slurped and retracted the secret armor into his stomach. Then he turned to face the Boxing King. "What reward of yours? We prevented the second outbreak and defeated the boss. You should be thanking us for even getting second place when you arrived so late." Hearing this, the Boxing King completely lost his temper, killing the boss accounts for 70% of the reward contribution. "No matter what you did before, my contribution should be higher. I interrupted 6 months of closed-door cultivation for this event. So how are you going to compensate me?" Facing the terrifying pressure from an S-rank powerhouse, Tong Yi rejected him without a second thought. After all, compared to the time he had spent in brutal combat, this was hardly worth mentioning. Hearing this, the Boxing King finally couldn't contain his anger and threw a fierce punch at Tong Yi. But just then, Catherine and Diamond appeared simultaneously and stopped both men. Their appearance left both combatants stunned. Fortunately, Tong Yi quickly recovered and grabbed the Boxing King's hand, sincerely saying, "Thank you for your hard work, Mr. Zhang Taishan. It's an honor to meet you. If there's nothing else, I'll take my leave now." Tong Yi turned and left, leaving Zhang Taishan bewildered. When Zhang Taishan recovered, he wanted to continue making trouble. But Catherine stopped him, although I don't know what happened. Helicopters are broadcasting this nationally right now, so please don't create controversy. Suddenly, a magic array appeared in the air, and a white-haired old man slowly floated out. "Boxing King, weren't you supposed to go back and continue cultivating? Why are you still here? Is there a problem?" Catherine replied, "The dungeon has been cleared. What problem could there be?" But looking at the collapsed station, the old man smiled at Catherine. "Since the Green Lotus Guild took action, I'm sure there's no problem." Hearing this, Catherine's mouth twitched as she thought, this old man is so cunning. Then she asked the Boxing King Zhang Taishan, "For a dungeon of this difficulty, you should be able to complete it without causing any damage. So why did the station end up like?" Zhang Taishan snorted. I don't know. Neither the person who destroyed the station nor the one who ranked first in contribution was me. In any case, I've fulfilled the condition you proposed, so you must keep our agreement. Before Catherine could ask further, Zhang Taishan leaped away and disappeared from sight. Meanwhile, after hearing Tong Yi's report, the old man questioned, "Your file records your maximum control weight as 300 grams, but how did you control something 10 times that weight?" Then the old man asked Tong Yi to speak with him elsewhere. All the way, Tong Yi's expression remained extremely serious, because this old man was Choi Zhongchul, Diamond's superior. He was not only powerful enough to be called a weapon of war, but also very clever, having successfully escaped the necromancer's multiple assassination attempts. After arriving at a secluded place, Choi Zhongchul asked Tong Yi if he could report the hidden parts. Tong Yi explained that after defeating the monkey leader, he had achieved an accomplishment that instantly improved his abilities, not only increasing his control limit to 20 kilograms but also gaining some new skills. Hearing this, Choi Zhongchul pondered for a moment. Achievements were very rare, but he chose to believe him. This made Tong Yi relieved, because he couldn't let the world know yet that even F rank could grow. Then Choi Zhongchul praised him. "You've done something remarkable and deserve a corresponding reward. So, is there any item you want?" Tong Yi's lips curled up wildly. "I do have a weapon I really want, but even you as a brigadier general wouldn't easily give it to me." Choi Zhongchul frowned slightly. "A weapon even I wouldn't easily give away. Which one is it?" "The replica bow, one of your many hero-class items." Hearing this, Choi Zhongchul burst out laughing. "You've got some nerve, kid, but I'll promise you, when you get one more stripe on your chest, your current strength should be around C rank, so I'll specially promote you to corporal for now. Don't make me wait too long." Tong Yi was quite annoyed. This old man was so cunning, instantly changing the subject. Still, it was fortunate that his secret hadn't been exposed. A few days later, Tong Yi was still lying in the military medical room recovering. The secret armor of Manarum was also still being digested, with 16 hours remaining. Suddenly, his support squad teammates gathered around. They were all E and F rank awakeners seeking Tong Yi's training guidance. Just then, seriously injured An Myung-tae reported back to the unit immediately after leaving the ICU. Seeing this, Tong Yi embraced him. "You've come at just the right time, just in time for training." Although these guys often made him worry, it might not be so bad to entrust his back to them when they were together. Tong Yi took his squad members to a training ground forbidden to those below C rank. The F rank members were terrified just seeing what was inside, trembling with fear. Tong Yi just smiled slightly. Then he mercilessly closed the door. Screams and pleas instantly echoed from inside. Yet hearing this, Tong Yi's smile only deepened. "Sorry, brothers, but this is the fastest way to improve your strength." After locking the door, Tong Yi went to the convenience store, intending to buy supplies for his team. Unexpectedly, he ran into the Valkyrie, Shadow Summer. Seeing her, Tong Yi immediately saluted. Valkyrie approached him seriously, saying that after careful consideration of the Door of Misfortune incident, she believed Tong Yi was still hiding something. Tong Yi helplessly asked what he could possibly be hiding. To his shock, Valkyrie's next words completely stunned him. She noticed his perfect mastery of timing, as if he knew everything in advance. Just as Tong Yi didn't know how to explain, the unit's broadcast announced, "Soldier Tong Yi, please report to the battalion commander's office immediately." Sighing with relief, Tong Yi was about to leave when Valkyrie seriously said, "I don't know what your purpose is, but I'll be watching you." Soon Tong Yi knocked on the battalion commander's office door. After receiving permission, he entered, only to be surprised again by who was inside. His superior officer was being reprimanded by his own superior. When they saw him, Choi Jong-chil said worriedly, "A red dungeon has appeared in the East Forest District, originally handled by the Green Lotus Guild. But 3 waves of their assault teams have been completely wiped out, so the dungeon has been classified as difficulty level 3, requiring 2 or more organizations to address together. Its entry level is restricted to 18, and it's a zombie dungeon where you can't exit until it's cleared." This news hit Tong Yi like a bombshell, because it wasn't recorded in his memories. The first thing he thought of was the necromancer known as One-Man Army. After explaining, Choi Jong-chul smiled helplessly. "The proud Green Lotus Guild sent many new talents in, and although our unit doesn't necessarily need to help, I think you're the most suitable candidate." Tong Yi knew this was giving him a choice. He could accept or refuse. Tong Yi chose to accept because this dungeon was related to the necromancer, and he had to investigate. However, he also made a request. "With my current strength, clearing a red dungeon seems difficult. If I had the replica bow we discussed earlier, I'm sure I could succeed." The replica bow was the only sword used by King Arthur that never missed. It had amazing accuracy and magic nullification properties. But since it was difficult to retrieve after use, it was essentially a one-time weapon. Though with Tong Yi's metal control ability, the situation was completely different. When Choi Jong-chul heard that Tong Yi wanted his treasured possession, he laughed wildly. "You really have guts, kid, but you'll have to take all the risks of failure." Tong Yi smiled confidently and replied, "The bigger the waves, the more valuable the fish, right?" Tong Yi wasn't making an unreasonable request. He knew this was a contest between Choi Jong-chul and the Green Lotus Guild president. If he succeeded, it would mean an ordinary soldier from the military had defeated the Green Lotus Guild's elite players. This would give them an advantage in future confrontations with Lotus. For Choi Jong-chul, it was a win-win scenario whether Tong Yi succeeded or failed. After leaving the battalion commander's office, Tong Yi finally opened the training ground door. Inside, a C-rank monster had been imprisoned, but was now defeated by the team's cooperation. Park Jun-mao was now overflowing with confidence, saying the C-rank training ground was a piece of cake, and he had faith in completing any mission. Hearing this, Tong Yi's lips curved upward. As you wish. Our support squad has been assigned a solo mission. Park Jun-mao couldn't believe it. You mean a solo mission? Tong Yi replied, yes. After obtaining his coveted weapon that evening, Tong Yi led his team to the destination. As soon as they arrived, they faced strong contempt from the Green Lotus Guild. One member told the captain, I heard this support squad consists of low-level awakeners. They'll probably seriously hold us back. The captain had considered this, so he ordered that once they entered the dungeon, they would abandon them and act independently. Soon the Green Lotus Guild sent someone to receive Tong Yi. When Tong Yi learned they needed to discuss battle plans, he went alone to meet the Green Lotus Guild person in charge. The person in charge was Catherine. She had anticipated Tong Yi would join this operation, and was displeased that he had concealed his F-rank status and still accepted her business card during their previous encounter. Tong Yi helplessly said, I didn't want it. You forced it on me. Hearing this, Catherine couldn't argue back, so she cleared her throat and began explaining the battle plan. Since you're just extras in this raid, don't interfere with our members after entering the dungeon. Just stay aside and watch. But Tong Yi wouldn't obediently follow orders. He believed the military and Lotus had equal rights to clear the dungeon. This time Catherine laughed. From what you're saying, do you really think your team can kill the boss? Faced with this challenge, Tong Yi immediately proposed a bet. If the support squad could kill the boss before Lotus, she would have to grant him one request. Hearing this, Catherine immediately accepted. If you lose, you'll pay with your life. Tong Yi cheerfully accepted. He didn't know what Catherine's purpose was, but he knew he had to get what was in the dungeon. A few minutes later, the Green Lotus Guild members began entering the dungeon one by one. The support squad's entry time was scheduled for 3 minutes later. When they entered, they were all startled by what they saw. The previous assault team, now turned into zombies, was tearing apart the Green Lotus Guild members. Soon, half of the Green Lotus Guild members were casualties. Seeing this, Tong Yi intended to lead his squad on a detour, but suddenly a giant foot blocked their path. The team had to raise their heads 180 degrees to see that the owner of the giant horns was a 100-meter-tall zombie king. System notification, boss monster Zombie King has appeared. The Zombie King instantly extended countless sharp claws toward the support squad below. The support squad members pulled out their hot weapons and fired, intercepting all the claws. Their bullets were infused with holy power, though to the Zombie King they had only the destructive power of rubber bullets. However, Tong Yi emphasized that zombies locate enemies by sound, so if they disrupt the zombies' hearing, it wouldn't find them. While everyone was fending off the claws, a member with sniping ability aimed at the boss's ears. Under the bombardment of countless bullets, the boss's left ear temporarily lost hearing. Meanwhile, another team member threw 2 grenades toward the right. With the huge sound waves produced by the exploding grenades, the boss's right ear also temporarily lost hearing. Now the boss couldn't pose an immediate danger, but the massive noise from the grenades attracted many zombies. Tong Yi immediately activated his ability to control multiple weapons. Under the powerful firepower, the zombies were only delayed for a moment. Tong Yi then controlled the weapons to fly away, continuously making noise to lure the zombie horde. Although they had drawn away the zombies, Tong Yi noticed something strange. There were too few zombies. In the shadows, a man had been observing the support squad all along. Seeing Tong Yi's performance, he chuckled. Looks like an interesting character has entered. Soon the support squad explored deep into the dungeon. There were no facilities or zombies here, which confused Tong Yi. But suddenly, using his metal sensing ability, he detected unfamiliar metal approaching. With a swoosh, Tong Yi shot a dagger toward a nearby tree. Fortunately, the person behind the tree pleaded for mercy in time, and Tong Yi barely stopped his attack. The person behind the tree gradually changed from transparent to visible. He had an invisibility ability. He introduced himself as Kim Tae-hyun, a survivor from the 3rd Assault Team. Using food as incentive, Tong Yi learned from Kim Tae-hyun that a national very important person had secretly sought help from various guilds. His grandson had died in this dungeon with the hero-class weapon, Achilles' spear. Whoever could bring out his grandson and the spear would receive huge funding for their guild. Learning about Green Lotus Guild's primary mission, Tong Yi finally understood Catherine's purpose. Just as Tong Yi was contemplating keeping the spear for himself, his metal sensing ability suddenly detected a large amount of approaching metal. Counting carefully, the number of suppressed metals reached 120. The mysterious observer, seeing Tong Yi stop, had summoned many zombies to entertain himself. Detecting danger, Tong Yi immediately ordered his team to implement Plan C. Team members understood and immediately drank health and mana recovery potions. The uninformed Kim Tae-hyun anxiously asked what Plan C was. Before anyone could explain, thundering footsteps suddenly came from behind. Tong Yi positioned himself at the rear of the team, ordering everyone to quickly evacuate. The mysterious man sneered, "Is your strategy to sacrifice team members as bait? But if the bait gets killed instantly, it won't serve any purpose." Tong Yi controlled countless steel balls to meet the zombie army. The werewolf zombies howled in pain when struck by the steel balls. Tong Yi then guided the steel balls into the werewolves' mouths. Next, he activated metal fragmentation. In an instant, the steel balls exploded into countless sharp fragments, turning the werewolf zombies' heads into sieves. Using this routine, Tong Yi soon defeated most of the werewolf zombies. Seeing this, the mysterious man frowned slightly. So those are steel balls infused with holy power. But making such a commotion will surely excite other zombies. Sure enough, all the zombies including the Zombie King, turned toward the explosion's source. The Zombie King roared in anger, commanding all zombies to kill in that direction. Unaware of this, Tong Yi had just finished dealing with the werewolf zombies. But when he activated metal sensing again, he was startled. Nearby, he detected very high-grade metal, and that blurry figure seemed to be a person. Countless thoughts raced through Tong Yi's mind. Perhaps he is that person. Just then, a werewolf beside the mysterious man leaped up. In an instant, it appeared above Tong Yi's head and attacked. Tong Yi activated a metal combination technique to fly close to the ground, but the mysterious man summoned more werewolves to intercept Tong Yi. Tong Yi escaped the encirclement with minor injuries. With magic power nearly depleted, he could only use his last resort. The next second, all the fragments from the exploded steel balls slowly gathered in the air. Empowered by Tong Yi's metal control, a rain of dense, small, and sharp steel needles fell upon the werewolf zombies. After a series of howls, the zombies before him were finally annihilated. Just then, the fleeing team members created an even more violent explosion. The approaching Zombie King was immediately attracted and changed course from pursuing Tong Yi. Kim Tae-hyun was confused by the support squad's tactics. Why provoke the Zombie King when we barely escaped? Park Jun-mao explained, this is our plan C, luring zombies away from Captain Tong Yi, a deception tactic. Seeing the Zombie King leave, the mysterious man immediately understood Tong Yi's strategy, so he was never the bait. He genuinely intends to clear this place. After muttering to himself, he finally couldn't hide his smile, finding this extremely amusing. He was very curious about what the blood of such an interesting person would taste like. Meanwhile, Tong Yi was also observing the mysterious man from among the pile of corpses. He wasn't sure why the mysterious man had entered the dungeon, more importantly, how this person could summon zombies. Tong Yi asked directly, "Are you a necromancer?" Unexpectedly, the mysterious man showed a surprised expression. After his surprise, the mysterious man suddenly erupted with killing intent. "How do you know about necromancers? Who exactly are you?" This reaction was unexpected to Tong Yi. Could he not be that person? Seeing Tong Yi not answering, the black snake spat out a black gold weapon. The mysterious man grabbed it and launched a lightning attack at Tong Yi. In the emergency, Tong Yi raised both arms to block, immediately producing a metallic clash. Fortunately, Tong Yi had obtained a transparent armor from devouring the secret armor. Otherwise, this strike would have certainly severed his steel-transformed arms. Seeing he couldn't win, Tong Yi immediately activated a combo skill to create distance. Simultaneously, he controlled a dagger for a sneak attack to prevent the mysterious man from pursuing. At this moment, the system prompted that the remaining time for the blood recovery potion was less than 50%. Tong Yi realized he must defeat him quickly. Just as the mysterious man was blocking the dagger, Tong Yi instantly controlled countless steel bead fragments, attacking the mysterious man from all directions with no blind spots. Unexpectedly, the mysterious man's black snake coiled upward, blocking most of the damage for him. At this moment, the fragments that hit the mysterious man began burning his skin. Tong Yi's pupils constricted. Humans who could be injured by holy power were only players who had devoured other players. They were known as vampires. The mysterious man shook off the fragments and angrily said, "It seems you don't want to answer my question. Let's see if you'll still refuse after I cut off your limbs." After speaking, the mysterious man aimed his spear at Tong Yi, while the spear tip continuously absorbed magical power, formally releasing the hero's and weapon's true power. Tong Yi's heart jumped, as he already guessed this was the Achilles spear that the Green Lotus Guild was searching for. And in the state where the spear released its true power, even the secret armor fused with steel transformation couldn't block it. Tong Yi clenched his fists. He had hidden the replicated bow in his sleeve, but he had only one chance. If it failed, he was finished. At this moment, the Achilles spear finally finished charging. The mysterious man thrust it straight at Tong Yi from midair. However, this was just a feint. A jet of black energy full of destruction suddenly shot from the spear tip, though Tong Yi had anticipated and dodged it. Simultaneously, Tong Yi's cloud sword silently appeared above the mysterious man's head, but just as the attack was about to land, it was blocked by the black snake. The mysterious man arrogantly said, "Your little tricks won't work on me." Then he released black energy sweeping across the battlefield. Tong Yi bent low to barely escape the crisis. Now he was at a complete disadvantage. Ranged attacks were blocked by the black snake, and with the Achilles spear he couldn't even get close. Watching Tong Yi constantly dodging, the mysterious man shouted angrily again, "That great one will never be known to the world? Who exactly are you?" Helpless, Tong Yi could only answer his question, "I'm just a foot soldier." Next, Tong Yi kept distracting the mysterious man through conversation until he walked near a special device, a directional mine. Tong Yi used his ability to remotely control the detonator. With a thunderous boom, countless steel beads carrying holy power were launched. However, from the center of the explosion came only the black snake's hiss. When the dust settled, the black snake had completely lost its ability to move, but the mysterious man had only suffered minor injuries. He mockingly said, "I am chosen by that great one. How could a mere explosive like this harm me?" But showing off can't last more than 3 seconds. The replicated bow, carrying immense force, fiercely pierced the mysterious man's chest. The next second, the mysterious man, along with the sword, was firmly nailed to a tree. His face showed disbelief. How is this possible? This was a speed even my eyes couldn't see. The replicated bow's special property was tracking targets, hitting unconditionally, and ignoring magical defenses. The mysterious man tried to pull out the sword, but some force kept the sword arrow immovable. Tong Yi smiled and said, "Don't worry, I won't kill you. But now it's my turn to ask questions." The mysterious man looked disdainful. "Kill me? You think this broken sword can kill me?" Tong Yi silently increased the force on the sword arrow, causing the mysterious man to let out a pig-like scream. "My sword doesn't have holy power, so you won't die immediately. But if vampires like you continue to bleed, the pain you'll feel will far exceed death." At these words, the mysterious man began to feel afraid, because what Tong Yi said was indeed true. At this time, Tong Yi asked his first question: "What's your relationship with the owner of the Achilles spear?" The mysterious man, enduring the pain, shouted that he was merely food. Due to the mysterious man's attitude, Tong Yi increased the force on the sword arrow again. Then he asked his second question: "Do you know the necromancer's true identity?" The mysterious man grinned and replied, "That great one could be your comrade, or could be your family. He is an existence that can become anyone." Tong Yi quickly realized that the mysterious man had never seen the necromancer. He was someone eager for recognition, yet now spoke in roundabout ways. Tong Yi wanted to continue questioning, but didn't notice the black snake had recovered. The mysterious man was overjoyed, but just as the black snake was about to attack, a black gold spear descended from the sky, piercing straight through the black snake's head. This was the hero-level weapon, the Achilles spear, whose effect made wounds extremely difficult to heal. Meanwhile, the support team had drawn away the zombie army. Park Jun-mao wanted to continue making noise, but was stopped by someone. Kim Tae-hyun said dejectedly, "The person left behind is probably finished. We really need to hide now." But Park Jun-mao firmly believed the captain wouldn't fail. Before separating from Tong Yi, he had specifically left a directional mine. If the mine didn't explode, it meant he hadn't used his last resort. Suddenly, a thunderous boom came from Tong Yi's direction, and some team members recognized it as the sound of the directional mine. Everyone's expressions immediately became tense. The last resort had been used. They could no longer be certain of Tong Yi's survival. Just as everyone was preparing to go back for rescue, their location suddenly became ethereal. Shortly after, a castle rose from the ground. The system prompted, "Zombie King Castle in Dako has been born." The support team looked around in confusion. What had just happened? Suddenly, a team member pointed ahead in terror. They saw zombies materializing from nothingness. Soon their number reached over 100. Park Jun-mao raised his hand, signaling everyone to remain quiet. But Kim Tae-hyun was frightened out of his wits and began to run for his life. The noise he made immediately attracted the zombies' attention. Seeing the zombies approaching step by step, Park Jun-mao had no choice but to order an attack. Meanwhile, after defeating the Black Snake, Tong Yi suddenly noticed something suspicious. "With the Green Lotus Guild guarding outside, how did you sneak in?" The mysterious man smiled slightly. "This dungeon was opened by me. Of course I've been inside all along." These words shocked Tong Yi. The mysterious man meant that portals could be opened manually, intelligence he had never known in either of his lives. Suddenly, the mysterious man's ring began to glow, a sign of the dungeon's second outbreak. The next second, the space between him and Tong Yi began to become ethereal. Tong Yi realized this meant terrain was growing. If this continued, he would lose not only this guy but also the replicated bow. In the second before the terrain formed, Tong Yi had no choice but to retrieve the replicated bow. The system prompted, "Zombie King Castle in Dako creation complete. Dungeon entry level raised to 30. Then came the mysterious man's loud laughter from behind the wall. "The Lord of Light and Darkness is about to descend. He will sacrifice your companions to open a passage into the human world. Stop him if you can." Meanwhile, the Zombie King returned to his castle. Inside were his eyes. The moment the Zombie King obtained his eyes, all zombies underwent changes. They no longer relied on sound to target enemies but gained vision. The system prompted, "The Lord of Light and Darkness, Zombie King Baron Samedi, has officially descended." Tong Yi rushed toward the Zombie King's castle, regardless of consequences. But the castle's perimeter was guarded by countless zombies. Tong Yi decided to consume mana to charge the Achilles spear. Without hesitation, he engaged in battle with the zombie army. Meanwhile, 3 strange urns appeared in the Zombie King's castle. While the support team was puzzled, the Zombie King suddenly appeared. They quickly discovered Park Jun-mao hiding. Park Jun-mao had no choice but to counterattack. The Zombie King was also attracted by the gunshots. He slowly raised his right hand, and several bone chains shot out. But just as the bone chains were about to hit their target, a powerful barrage of fire pushed him back. 2 teammates suddenly appeared behind, shouting, "Run! We can't hold out for long." Inadvertently, some bullets shot toward the urns. The Zombie King suddenly flashed to block all the bullets. Clearly, these were extremely important items. At this moment, Park Jun-mao ordered everyone to retreat while throwing out all the grenades. With a thunderous boom, the Zombie King's castle was instantly engulfed in flames. After the smoke cleared, the Zombie King was slightly stunned. He received a prompt. Baron Samedi's descent ritual has been interrupted. When he turned around, he discovered that 1 urn had vanished. At the same time, team member Kim Tae-hyun was fleeing with the urn. Park Jun-mao anxiously asked, "Why did you take this thing?" Kim Tae-hyun explained, "I felt it was important to the Zombie King, so I stole it with my ability." As they spoke, zombies were about to catch Kim Tae-hyun, but suddenly another barrage of dense fire blocked the zombies again. The support team had fled into a dead end. Park Jun-mao ordered them to hold off the zombies while giving teammates time to install explosives. When the explosives were ready, everyone took shelter behind in Ming-Tai's shield. Another explosion followed, accompanied by a towering blaze. Most of the pursuing zombies were annihilated. Although they had blocked the zombies' entrance, the support team was also trapped inside. However, at this moment, a bone chain suddenly penetrated the wall. In just a moment, a large hole was drilled through the wall, followed by the Zombie King's figure appearing before everyone. Upon seeing the treasured urn, the Zombie King unconsciously revealed a gentle smile. However, this smile terrified everyone, causing them to tremble. "It's over, we're about to become zombies too." But just when everyone thought they were done for, a voice drew everyone's attention. At the critical moment, Tong Yi finally appeared, shouting, "Who's bullying my teammates?" The Zombie King turned to find a human, raising his hand to control bone chains for an attack. But suddenly he noticed the urn beside Tong Yi. Afraid something might happen, the Zombie King had no choice but to withdraw. Faced with the Zombie King's puzzling behavior, Tong Yi was very confused. Looking around, he only found an urn. Could it be because of this? In that moment of distraction, the Zombie King had already charged over, raising his giant foot to squash Tong Yi. Tong Yi activated a combo skill and began skimming the ground in flight. However, the Zombie King's bone chains followed closely, overwhelming him. Fortunately, the team members opened their backpacks, releasing a large amount of supplies and steel beads. While fending off attacks, Tong Yi got a bottle of mana recovery potion. After drinking it, his pressure was swept away, feeling he could fight 300 more rounds. With mana, Tong Yi began controlling steel beads, launching a counterattack against the Zombie King. But unexpectedly, there was a mysterious barrier in front of the Zombie King. Even with the Cloud Sword, it was difficult to break through this defense. Meanwhile, the Zombie King seized the Cloud Sword with a casual grab. He also released bone chains, continuously attacking Tong Yi. The teammates watched anxiously, so they raised the urn and smashed it hard on the ground. A pitch-black lung appeared before everyone. The Zombie King narrowed his eyes, sensing something was wrong. He changed targets, and bone chains shot toward the teammates. Seeing how much the Zombie King cared about this object, a team member grabbed a weapon and stabbed down. Instantly, the Zombie King suffered a severe wound, his aura continuously weakening. He turned to look at the only remaining urn. Inside was his heart. The Zombie King didn't hesitate to merge with the heart, restoring his aura to its peak and even continuing to rise. The system prompted, Zombie King Baron Samedi's descent forcibly restarted. However, Tong Yi didn't fear, but was extremely excited. Organs and urns. Wasn't this just like the canopic jars of mummy burial? If similar, then his soul would be in the heart. Since the Zombie King had relied on his barrier and neglected defense, Tong Yi decisively activated the replicated bow. In an instant, the replicated bow's magic resistance-ignoring property easily penetrated the barrier and hit the heart. The Zombie King was slightly shocked, but then smiled slightly. The system prompted, the Zombie King's body is rapidly recovering due to the descent effect. Tong Yi raised the Achilles spear, telling him not to be hasty, because what came next was the main course. The next second, the Achilles spear, filled with destructive aura, was fiercely thrown. It not only completely shattered the heart, but also prevented regeneration with its special property. The Zombie King let out a desperate roar, then controlled bone chains to rip this human to pieces. Tong Yi was about to activate a combo skill but found his mana completely exhausted. He inwardly cursed that he was finished, but just as the bone chains were about to hit him, a team member stepped forward to block and activated the shield skill. With a loud sound, and Ming-Tai holding the shield was pushed back repeatedly by the bone chains. After recovering, he turned his head to ask Tong Yi if he was alright. Tong Yi was slightly shocked and said he was fine, but added that his newly learned skill was really cool. After entering the dungeon, everyone's levels had risen at an astonishing rate, and Ming-Tai had just reached level 20, unlocking the shield skill. But when he explained this to Tong Yi, he was met with scolding. "You rushed in with a skill you've never used before? You idiot, you almost lost your life." Just then, the Zombie King again let out a shrill howl. The system prompted, due to sustained damage, the forced descent has been cancelled. Warning, your body is collapsing, about to return to the state of death. Seeing this, the Zombie King's eyes bulged with rage. He used all his strength, planning to take a few down with him in his final moments. In an instant, bone chains indiscriminately bombarded like a storm. Tong Yi ordered everyone to scatter and distract the Zombie King's vision until his mana recovered. However, bullets quickly ran out. Helpless, the team members voluntarily acted as decoys, drawing fire for Tong Yi. Seeing this, Tong Yi could only clench his teeth while watching his status panel. Until his mana recovered to 19%, he knew he couldn't wait any longer. So he activated a combo skill and began approaching the Zombie King. During this process, he constantly analyzed the Zombie King's weaknesses. If the way to defeat him was to destroy his organs, then the last organ was his eyes. With a swoosh, Tong Yi recalled the Cloud Sword and flew directly to the Zombie King's face. Then another swoosh, the replicated bow hidden behind Tong Yi activated, instantly breaking through the barrier and entering the Zombie King's left eye. Tong Yi passed through the crack to the Zombie King's right eye. Raising the Cloud Sword, he stabbed with all his might. The system prompted, Zombie King Baron Samedi has been hunted. Cloud Sword's unknown aura increased to 49%. As the words fell, the Zombie King's huge figure collapsed. Everyone had a look of disbelief. We actually killed the Zombie King? Inside the zombie king's body, Tong Yi found a drop item. Mythical equipment, crown of light and darkness. He examined it carefully and found it was an item not recorded in his previous life's memory, and it didn't unlock any special function. Suddenly, the entire zombie king's castle began to collapse violently, seemingly self-destructing. Tong Yi hurriedly ordered everyone to evacuate. Meanwhile, outside the dungeon, Catherine looked worried. Now that the dungeon's level has increased so much, how can we clear it with our current abilities? Suddenly, the dungeon entrance began rotating violently, a sign it was about to close. Catherine looked at the entrance in confusion. Could the raid team have successfully cleared it? However, just before the portal closed, only a group of military soldiers emerged alive. Everyone was shocked. Why only them? At this moment, the support team was rejoicing in their survival. Then Tong Yi shouted, "With this, all members have completed the red portal clearing mission. Thank you all for your hard work." Amid everyone's cheers, Catherine finally believed they had cleared the red portal. But what exactly was Captain Tong Yi's background? At this moment, the scene shifted to someone forgotten by everyone. Kim Tae-hyun had been looking for an exit since receiving the completion prompt, but after several hours had found nothing. However, at the next corner, he seemed to find a lifeline. After a moment's stillness, Kim Tae-hyun struggled to ask, "Do you know where the exit is?" By now, the vampire was very weak. He was desperate for blood. With just a flash, he appeared behind Kim Tae-hyun. After a feast, his complexion slightly recovered, but the hatred in his eyes remained unchanged. "Little bastard, I'll make everything you cherish turn red with blood." Watching the portal completely close, Catherine asked Tong Yi insistently, "What about the people from our Green Lotus Guild?" Tong Yi regretfully said, "They had all perished by the time we got out." But Catherine believed this was impossible because without Qing Lian's assistance, you couldn't possibly have completed the clearing. Hearing this, Tong Yi looked displeased, saying the dungeon results analysis would reveal the truth. At this point, Catherine changed her attitude, remembering something more important. She asked again, "Did you see any long-haired weapon in the dungeon?" Tong Yi knew she meant the Achilles spear, but since it was now his trophy, he could only mumble that he hadn't seen it. Catherine wanted to probe further, but was interrupted by Tong Yi, who said, "Rather than that, you seem to be avoiding our previous bet. Surely as a person of importance, you wouldn't go back on your word. I'll come find you when I've decided what I need." With that, he turned to leave. Seeing this, Catherine quickly grabbed Tong Yi's collar, shouting, "Why not just join our Green Lotus Guild? I promise to give you S-rank Awakener treatment." But at that moment, a magic circle appeared before them, and Tong Yi's superior, Kui Zhengzhe, slowly floated out. Seeing Catherine's actions, he smiled slightly. "Is your Green Lotus Guild trying to poach our military's main combat force?" Catherine quickly waved her hands, explaining she had no such intentions. It was just a suggestion. But Kui Zhengzhe's next words left her speechless. "Did your Qinglian gather so many people to violate regulations and enter the dungeon alone? I will protest this to the Qinglian chairperson and send documents to all guilds." Catherine was momentarily speechless, only able to clench her fists tightly. After returning to the unit, Kui Zhengzhe was astonished to hear that Tong Yi had perfectly cleared the dungeon. He indicated he would give Tong Yi a chance for level reassessment, and also promote everyone in the support team by 1 rank. Tong Yi solemnly expressed gratitude to Kui Zhengzhe, but he didn't forget their previous agreement, so he asked Kui Zhengzhe for additional rewards. Kui Zhengzhe's face immediately darkened as he weakly said, "Anything but my collection of treasures." Tong Yi immediately smiled and said, "Colonel, I hope you can issue holy power weapons to our squad." By the next day, news of the support team clearing the red dungeon had spread throughout the unit. The F-rank team suddenly received attention from many people. Park Jin-mao was particularly diligent, telling every comrade about what happened yesterday. But when asked how their support team became stronger, Park Jin-mao would secretly tell them, "It's all thanks to Captain Tong Yi's special training." At this moment, Tong Yi was preparing to devour the crown of light and darkness. Just as he put it in his mouth, Li Yuanxi suddenly burst in. After greeting, he fell to his knees with a thud. "Tong Yi, please forgive my previous rudeness. I know you don't want to see me, but I also want to receive your special training, please." Tong Yi swallowed the crown in 2 bites. The system prompted 24 hours remaining until metal absorption. Looking back at Li Yuanxi, although he didn't like this guy, the A-City takeover battle was about to begin, and having another useful person would increase their chances of victory. Then Tong Yi said fine to Li Yuanxi, "But to accept my special training, you must be prepared to risk your life." Meanwhile, in the Zombie King's castle, a muscular man suddenly opened a portal and walked in. Upon seeing the mysterious man, the muscular man immediately cursed. "You idiot! You made me waste so many items and couldn't even complete a simple portal test. What are you good for?" The mysterious man was clearly afraid of the muscular man and timidly apologized. Then a woman entered through the portal. She licked her lips excitedly. "You're lucky this time. Originally, you should have been left here to fend for yourself. But suddenly the higher-ups decided to start the A-City takeover battle, hoping you could show your final value in this war." Brigade Commander Jin Gangxi also held a promotion ceremony for the support team members as instructed by the higher-ups. Suddenly, a phone call interrupted Jin Gangxi, and the news shocked him greatly. "What? Shu Tarukai has appeared? I'll come right away." The name Shu Tarukai also shocked Tong Yi. In his memory, Shu Tarukai had killed the country's 4th-ranked Awakener. Afterward, Jin Gangxi left the unit to pursue him. As a result, during this period, the unit was attacked by 2 vampires and completely wiped out. Tong Yi knew history was about to unfold and needed to prepare early. After the promotion ceremony, the holy weapons promised by Zhengzhe had been distributed. With these weapons, they would have a better chance against vampires. Meanwhile, the vampires had been recuperating since bringing back the mysterious man. Suddenly, a white-haired man walked in. He was the chairman of the Taishan Guild, one of the country's 3 major guilds. However, he wasn't there to eliminate the vampires, because they were actually his subordinates. A minute ago, Chairman Ji Baijun had received orders from above. Liang Tiezhu, who carried the key to the weapons warehouse, died from fire burns. The suspected murderer was a soldier, so during the city takeover battle, they must also reclaim the weapons warehouse key. So Ji Baijun assigned the task of retrieving the key to the female vampire. Starting with the military, completely erase this city from the map. At night, Tong Yi specifically arranged for Park Junmao and himself to take the night shift, but nothing happened for 3 consecutive days. Park Junmao couldn't help complaining. "Captain, haven't we been taking too many night shifts lately?" Suddenly, Tong Yi's eyes flashed. He sensed a large number of anomalous metals approaching. It seemed today was the day of the vampire attack. Then Tong Yi pulled the gunbolt and gave Park Junmao a sly smile. "Park Junmao, it seems we'll be abandoning our post again." Meanwhile, at the unit's main gate, the guard was looking around with relaxed, sleepy eyes. Suddenly, a figure appeared, startling him, and Ming Tai immediately reacted, ordering the person not to come any closer. But hearing the voice, the person became even more excited, letting out a howl and charging forward. And Ming Tai took a closer look and found it was a zombie, so he decisively shot it dead. But the moment the gunshot rang out, the ground suddenly began to shake violently. Then he was shocked by the scene before him. A large group of zombies was charging mindlessly toward him, and Ming Tai and his teammate opened fire, but the zombies kept getting closer, helpless, and Ming Tai could only close the gate and call for his teammate to come back quickly. After the gate closed, and Ming Tai used a magic shield, successfully keeping the zombie army at bay outside.